Hey guys. This is part 3 of What If Naruto Was the Older Brother of the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 19, D-Rank Missions. At a cafe in downtown Konoha, the two kunoichi of Team 7 joined Team 10 at a cafe they promised to meet at after their team introductions. Hey! Hinata-chan! Narumi-chan! Over here! Ino waved her female friends in Team 7 over. Where's Sasuke-kun? She asked, not seeing her crush with his team. Hey Ino! The red-headed kunoichi yelled as she dragged Hinata over with her. Sasuke stayed behind to have a chat with our sensei. Oh. Guess he'll be coming by a little later? Ino asked hopefully. Yeah, probably. Anyway, how were your team introductions? How's Asuma as a sensei? Is he super strong? Narumi asked excitedly. Surprisingly not troublesome. Shikamaru replied, not bothering to lift his head from the table. Ino scoffed. You would say that, wouldn't you, Shikamaru? Asuma-sensei? Where did you hear that he was strong? He seems like a lazy bum like Shikamaru over here. And he smells. Ugh. All that smoking. It's bad for my skin to be near him. She complained dramatically. He's nice. And he bought us yakiniku, Japanese barbecue meat. I'd say he's on my good side already. Chuji commented enthusiastically, as he dug his fork into his third slice of chocolate cake. Ano, how was your tea test? Did you have to fight your S-sensei too? Hinata asked curiously. Huh? What test? You fought your sensei? All that lazy bum did was ask us basic things about ourselves like interests, hobbies, dreams, and stuff like that, then he spent the whole time eating barbecue and smoking. Ino complained. Huh? Really? We did the whole talk about ourselves intro, but we had to fight our sensei to gauge our skills and all. He said all the senseis have some sort of test to see if they pass. Narumi replied. That is a logical way to see what kind of skills we currently possess. Our sensei tested us in a similar manner. Shino commented as he walked into the cafe. Shino! Narumi greeted her bug user friend. How was your sensei? How was your team? Sorry to say, but being with the people in your team seems like my worst nightmare. Narumi gagged just thinking about having Sakura and Kiba on the same team, with Kurenai as a sensei, not that she had anything personal against the woman. My team was interesting. One can hope that it will get better with time. Our sensei, however, seems to be a competent sensei. I am interested to see how our team will develop under her guidance. Shino replied as he took a seat at their table. Really? But isn't she, a genjutsu specialist? Isn't that kind of lame? Narumi asked. How was your team introduction, Shino-kun? Hinata asked as well. It was interesting, to say the least. Shino replied as he recalled his team's introduction earlier. Flashback, alright team, this is Training Ground 8. This will be our home ground in a sense. We will meet here in the mornings before missions, and we will mostly be training here, so get comfortable. Kurenai started. Now that we're here, let's get started with our team's introduction. I'll start. Hi, I'm Yuhi Kurenai. I'm a jonin, and a genjutsu specialist. I like training in genjutsu, and I like people who are dutiful. I hate perverts. Really hate them, so if any of you become perverts, I'll deal with you myself. I also hate fangirls, who give kunoichi a bad rep. Kiba and Sakura gulped. My hobbies include reading, and drinking tea with my friends. My dream is to get rid of the stereotype of kunoichi being weaker than male ninja, and become a powerful kunoichi like Tsunade, that girls can look up to. Kurenai concluded her introduction. Now it's your turn. I'll start. Kiba shouted out as he raised his hand. Hi. I'm Kiba and this is my partner, Akamaru. The small white dog hiding in his jacket with just its head sticking out barked in response. I'm a genin from the Inuzuka clan, and I'm good at our clan's taijutsu, and me and Akamaru here are also good at tracking. Aren't we, Akamaru? The dog barked again. I like most animals, but especially dogs. I also enjoy a good barbecue, or any kind of meat really. I hate cats, and I hate people who hurt animals for no reason. My hobbies including taking walks in the forest with Akamaru, and playing with him. My dream is to become a powerful ninja, and maybe even become the Hokage one day," Kiba concluded, with Akamaru barking in agreement. "Very good. It's nice to meet you, Kiba. Now, why don't you go next, Shino?" Kurenai told her two male students with a warm smile. "I will go next then. I am Aburame Shino. I am adept in the use of my clan's insect-oriented jutsu. I like insects, or what many people call bugs. I dislike people who kill insects for no reason. I enjoy looking for new insects, or breeding new hybrids for my hive. My dream is to create a new powerful breed for my hive, and to achieve complete harmony between multiple colonies," Shino stated in a monotone voice. "That's nice," Kurenai told Shino. She didn't tell him that she wasn't too fond of bugs. "Why don't you go next, Sakura?" she asked Sakura. Kurenai had high expectations from Sakura. She was the kunoichi of the year in her grades, and was noted to show a high degree of chakra control and an affinity for genjutsu. "Hi, I'm Haruno Sakura. I'm not from a ninja clan," Sakura stated, a little embarrassed. Kurenai smiled at her and urged her to continue. Iruka-sensei said I had good chakra control, and I'm pretty good at studying and remembering things. Iruka-sensei also said I might be good at genjutsu, though I never really tried. I like a certain someone." Sakura began to blush and giggle. Kiba rolled his eyes. "I dislike loud, annoying people like a certain girl in my class," Sakura said as she clenched her fist. Kurenai wondered who she was talking about. "My hobbies include..." Sakura began blushing and giggling again. "My dream is to get the attention of a certain someone, and to get him to fall in love with me. I dream of becoming his girlfriend, and his future wife." Kurenai sighed. She had seen this before. A fangirl. Her likes, hobbies, dreams, basically her whole life, revolved around a boy instead of herself. Kurenai was disappointed. She would not tolerate this on her team. "So, you're telling me that what you like and like to do all involve a certain boy, and your goals for the future is becoming that boy's woman?" Kurenai asked seriously. Sakura missed a hint in Kurenai's voice that told her that Kurenai didn't like what she heard. Sakura nodded with a dreamy look in her face. "That is unacceptable," Kurenai told Sakura sternly, which shocked the pinkette. What do you mean, sensei?" Sakura stammered out. "You're a kunoichi, but none of your interests or goals had anything to do with being one. Why did you even become a kunoichi? You could have done all these things as a civilian." Kurenai asked. "Well, Sasuke-kun likes kunoichi, so I can't just be a regular civilian. Ino would steal him from me then." Sakura responded back, clueless to Kurenai's building ire. "So, this boy is Sasuke? You became a kunoichi for Sasuke-kun?" Kurenai asked, and Sakura nodded. This was pathetic. That's absolutely pathetic. Do you even know what the life of a kunoichi is like? Kurenai couldn't hide her look of disgust. "Do missions for the village?" Sakura said naively. Kurenai sighed. "Sakura, being a kunoichi means you'll have to steal, hurt, and even kill people. You'll have to do whatever the village asks you to do. Though Konoha doesn't take as many of these kinds of missions, sometimes you'll have to give your body to a client." Sakura gasped in shock. "You're ready to enter a world of pain and suffering, for the goal of getting Sasuke's attention? If you don't get your act together, you're gonna get you and your team killed. So don't take this as a joke. I won't tolerate any fangirl behavior. Not on my team. If you want to be a fangirl, get the hell out of my team. It's a disgrace to all serious kunoichi." Kurenai reprimanded Sakura sternly, whose face fell. "Well, that was most disappointing," Kurenai stated. "We were formed as a tracking team, so I was going to test your tracking skills, but after hearing what I heard, I'm first going to test you to see if you're worthy of being genin on my team, especially you, Sakura. Hopefully you won't disappoint me further. TCH, we'll show her we're strong, won't we, Akamaru?" Kiba shouted out to his partner. He didn't like being looked down on. "All three of you can attack me at once. You'll need to, if you want to have any chance of hurting me," Kurenai told the genin. "You think you're so strong? You're just a lame genjutsu user anyway. Don't look down on us," Kiba shouted out brashly. "You'll see that I've got a lot more than genjutsu in my arsenal. Come at me and find out for yourself," Kurenai stated calmly, though she was angry at the fact that her genjutsu was being looked down on again. She decided she would teach them the true terror that genjutsu could be. Kiba and Akamaru charged at Kurenai, Kiba swinging viciously at the jonin woman. Though Kurenai was not particularly gifted in taijutsu, she was still a jonin. She easily dodged each swipe, and responded with painful blows of her own. She kicked Kiba in the chest, and sent him flying. Akamaru leapt to his master's side. TCH. Not bad. Come on, guys. Let's show her we're not to be underestimated. Kiba shouted at Sakura and Shino. Sakura nodded, as she was angry at Kurenai for looking down on her and her crush on Sasuke. She decided she was gonna show her why she was Kunoichi of the year. Shino didn't show any movement, and stood there with his hands in his pocket. Though he didn't reply, he knew this was a test, and he needed to work with his new teammates to fight Kurenai if he wanted to become a genin under a jonin sensei. His Kakashi began to slowly pour out of his body, and buzzed around him. Let's go, Kiba shouted, and everyone charged Kurenai. She smirked and waited until her opponents were almost upon her, when she suddenly threw a smoke bomb onto the ground. The genin jumped out of the smoke, coughing. They were scattered around Training Ground 8. Sakura was coughing when she saw Sasuke come out from the forest. Sakura? What are you doing here? Sasuke asked her. Sasuke-kun! I'm in a test with my jonin sensei. Can you help me fight her? Sakura asked. You want me to help you in your team's test? Isn't that cheating? Sasuke asked curiously. Gosh, he looks so damn cute with that curious face on. Why, yeah, of course. You're right, Sasuke-kun. It was silly of me to ask, Sakura said as she smacked her own head. It's alright. I'm sure you'll do well, Dash. Sasuke was encouraging her, when suddenly a pack of wolves jumped out of the woods behind him, and began attacking him. Sasuke was taken by surprise, and had no time to respond. He screamed in pain as he was torn to shreds. Sakura's eyes widened, and she froze in fear. Sakura, why didn't you help me? Sasuke whispered out loud enough for Sakura to hear, before the wolves ripped his throat out. The handsome boy was now reduced to chunks of flesh and blood. Sakura began to foam at the mouth and passed out from the traumatic sight. Kurenai stared at the girl who stared at and talked to no one in particular before passing out. Pathetic. She didn't even realize she was in a genjutsu. She sighed. 1 down. 2 to go. She turned around to find her other students. Resorting to cheap tricks. It won't work on us though, will it, Akamaru? Kiba asked his canine partner, who yipped back at him. We'll use our noses to find her. They closed their eyes, and began to look for Kurenai using her scent. They found her in the smoke. There you are! Kiba shouted out as he charged her. Kurenai dodged and stepped out of the smoke. So you found me. Impressive for a loudmouth genin. Now let's see what you've got. She began to charge at him. Kiba and Kurenai traded punches and kicks, though they were able to dodge each other's strikes. Kiba finally swung a hard left hook, and caught Kurenai in the cheek, and sent her staggering back. She caught her balance and charged at him, more savagely than before. She appeared to come for a haymaker, drawing her fist all the way behind her, and Kiba prepared to block or dodge the telegraphed punch. Kurenai suddenly switched gears, and lowered her body, until she was on all fours. This threw Kiba off, and Kurenai used that opening to bite him savagely in the leg. Pain shot up Kiba's leg, and he grabbed his leg in agony, and looked down in surprise at his sensei's unusual attack. The pain released the genjutsu, revealing that Kiba had been bitten by Akamaru. The two had been in Kurenai's genjutsu, and had been fighting each other. Kurenai appeared from behind them, and chopped them in the back of the necks, knocking them unconscious. 2 down, 1 to go. Kurenai thought to herself. Kurenai heard buzzing behind her, and she slowly turned around to see Shino standing a short distance away from her with his hands in his pockets. You cast a genjutsu on Kiba and his dog to make them fight each other. I assume you cast one on Sakura as well, based on her unconscious condition right now. As a genjutsu specialist, I reason that you are trying to show us the power and utility of genjutsu, by making us experience it firsthand. Am I correct in my deduction? Shino asked. Kurenai grinned. Not bad, Shino. I'll tell you right now that you show the most promise out of you three. Shino adjusted his sunglasses using one finger to push it back up his nose. Based on what I've seen, I can deduce that you will use a genjutsu on me as well, or have already used one on me. Am I correct? Shino asked as he turned away from Kurenai and looked up at an empty branch on a tree. Kurenai laughed. Not bad. The first step in breaking a genjutsu is to recognize you're in one. Shino's Kikeichu pushed their chakra into Shino's chakra coils, breaking the genjutsu. Kurenai slowly shimmered into view on the empty branch that Shino was looking at. How long have I been in that genjutsu? Shino asked. The same as everyone else. You've been in one the moment I threw that smoke bomb. Kurenai replied with a smile. How did you know I was up in this particular tree? Shino lifted an arm, and showed a few Kikeichu crawling up and down his hand, and into his sleeves. I've placed a female Kikeichu on you. The pheromones it releases can be tracked by the males. Shino explained. Now that I know where you are, your genjutsu won't work on me anymore. My Kikeichu will help me break out of any genjutsu, he stated calmly. Kurenai smiled. Oh, really? Is that so? So, what are you going to do now? How are you going to get me off this branch and fight me? Shino said nothing, but a huge swarm of Kikeichu began to form around him. He stretched out an arm towards Kurenai, and the swarm began to fly at her. It looked like Shino's swarm would soon reach and overwhelm Kurenai, but they suddenly began to fly erratically and began to disperse, flying all in different directions. What caused their strange behavior? Shino asked himself out loud in a calm voice. Though his voice was calm, he was disturbed and shocked. His Kikeichu had never disobeyed his commands before. Kurenai smiled. Just because I can't get you with a genjutsu, doesn't mean I can't cast a genjutsu on your Kikeichu. I cast a genjutsu on them that causes them to smell the female's mating pheromones from all directions. I'm practically invisible to them right now. Shino stood there in silence. By the way, I can still get you with a genjutsu, even with your Kikeichu. I just wanted to show you what it's like to not have them to break you out of one every time, Kurenai kindly told Shino as she jumped down from the tree. Alright, you've shown me that you have a lot of promise. Kiba's shown he's got heart, though not a lot of brain. We'll work on that. She gave Kiba a shake to wake him up. What happened? Kiba asked. Shino impressed me enough to make me decide to give you a chance. Get up. Kurenai told her brash genin, who stood up wobbling, still confused at what happened. His leg was throbbing. Kurenai knelt down in front of Kiba, and began to disinfect his leg wound, and bandaged it. Sorry about all that. I wanted to show you that genjutsu is a powerful tool, but I didn't expect Akamaru to bite your leg so viciously. Akamaru looked away in embarrassment, not being able to meet Kiba's glare. You two are dismissed for the day. I'll see you here tomorrow at 8. Don't be late. Kurenai told the two male genin, who nodded and looked over at Sakura. I'm gonna have a word with her. You two can go. Kurenai told Shino and Kiba, who nodded and walked away. Flashback and, wow, she really did all that. Maybe she's not as lame as I thought. Narumi admitted in surprise. Of course, Narumi. She's jonin for crying out loud. You don't become a jonin for being weak, you know. Ino told her friend. Speaking of senseis, you never mentioned who your sensei is. I never saw who your sensei was when we left with the Suma sensei. Oh, my sensei? You won't believe who it is. Narumi stated to her friends. It's my brother Naruto. Shikamaru's head perked up from his sleeping position. Your brother? Isn't he in the ANBU? An ANBU captain if I remember correctly. Narumi had a wide smile on her face. Yup. He quit the ANBU. He's gonna be our sensei. Ino perked up immediately. Naruto? As in your super hot brother Naruto? So lucky. She sighed as she had a dreamy look in her eyes. You, Ino. He's my Nai-chan. Narumi said in disgust. So what? He's super hot. I'm sure Hinata-chan agrees. Hinata looked down at her toes, as she began to blush to match Narumi's hair. He's probably one of the only guys out there who's hotter than Sasuke-kun. But that's because Sasuke-kun hasn't grown up completely yet. Gosh Narumi, you got two hotties on your team. Why do some people get all the luck? Ino sighed as she thought about lazy 1, 2, and 3 on her team. Wow, you really got your brother as your sensei? Isn't he supposed to be like one of the strongest ninjas in Konoha? I think I heard my dad talking about him before. Chuji commented. Well, he's strong, but I don't know about all that. I know he's pretty good with the sword, but I haven't seen him use any super strong jutsu or anything. Even during our fight with the team, he didn't really use many strong moves. Narumi told her friends. But Narumi-chan, we were unable to land a single H-hit on Naruto-sensei, even we W worked together. Hinata reminded Narumi. WH what? Really? Not even Sasuke-kun? Ino asked, and the two members of Team 7 present nodded. That was news for Team 10. Team 7 was the cream of the crop of their class. A lot of the senseis said that they had the potential to beat Chunin, especially when working together. To think they hadn't been able to touch Naruto, who barely used any moves against them. It wasn't unimaginable as he was a jonin, but it was still rather unexpected. I suppose that's to be expected somewhat, Shikamaru stated. He is a former ANBU captain after all. I've heard he's a prodigy in the ninja arts, so a bunch of freshly graduated genin shouldn't stand a chance. So, he's hot and strong? Didn't you say he's single? Ino asked Narumi. You Ino! He's like 7 years older than us. Narumi shouted in disgust. So what? It's not uncommon for older men to date younger women. Women mature more quickly than men, you know. Besides, I never said I was gonna date him. I have my Sasuke-kun, you know. Unless he's interested in me? Ino said the last part as she tucked her hair behind her ear and batted her eyelashes. You! No. Just no, Ino. My Oniai-chan is not a pedo! Narumi yelled out. Okay, I don't know what you guys were talking about, but I don't want to know. Sasuke told his friends who were waiting for him as he entered the cafe. Sasuke-kun! You're here! Ino yelled out, before catching herself and trying to act nonchalant again. Yahem. I mean you're here. We were wondering where you were. You missed Shino's story on how his sensei kicked his teams but using nothing but genjutsu. Big deal. Naruto and Ai-sen beat me with a stare. Did Narumi or Hinata tell you how Naruto and Ai-sen kicked our butts? Sasuke asked as he took his seat. Nope. Why don't you tell us, Sasuke-kun? Ino asked Sasuke, giving him 100% of her attention. Why did Naruto and Ai-chan want you to stay afterwards? Narumi asked Sasuke. Sasuke didn't want to remember how he cried, so he tried to pass over the subject quickly. It was no big deal, just wanted to talk to me about some stuff. Anyway, so Naruto and Ai-sen tells us all to attack him at once, right? So, what we did is… At the Hokage's office. Team 1 passes, but barely. A jonin told the Hokage. The jonin senseis had gathered after giving their tests, and were reporting to the Hokage if their teams either passed or failed. A fair number had failed their sensei's tests. Team 6 fails. They were pathetic. I'm gonna need to torture a few prisoners or something to help me forget. Remind me not to be a jonin sensei. Boring. Anko reported as she picked her teeth with a wooden skewer left over from her dango. She jumped out of the window to leave. Team 7 passes. Naruto reported succinctly. The other jonin looked at him in surprise. When did Naruto become a jonin sensei? He wasn't at the previous meeting where they picked jonin senseis. Wasn't he an ANBU captain? You decided to be a jonin sensei, Naruto-san? Kurenai asked in surprise. She was a new jonin, but she had heard rumors that Naruto might be one of the deadliest assassins in Konoha. Why would he want to be a jonin sensei to a bunch of genin? Can't say I'm not surprised. You know this will be really boring compared to the work you do in ANBU, don't you, Naruto-san? Asuma asked his younger fellow jonin. Nevertheless, I've decided to be one. Naruto responded, not really carrying the conversation. Right. Anyway, Team 8 passes as well, Hokage-sama. Kurenai responded, a little disappointed that Naruto cut the conversation short. She had always been curious about the man beside her, as he was a man of mystery. All she knew about him were rumors. Team 10 passes as well. Asuma told his father, who nodded. Looks like we have a fair number of passing teams from this batch. This is good news. A lot of the graduating genin this year were clan heirs. I'll be looking forward to how you all develop these genin to be the future of our village. The Hokage told the jonin. Those of you who passed their teams may begin taking D-rank missions for your team tomorrow. You are dismissed. The jonin began to leave the room. Kurenai whispered into her longtime friend Asuma's ear, as she pointed over to Naruto. Asuma walked over to Naruto and tapped his shoulder. Hey, we'll kind of be colleagues or coworkers now that we're jonin sensei. Some of us jonin sensei are going to get together and have dinner and get some drinks. Why don't you join? We don't really know much about each other, and it's a good way for all of us to get to know each other a little better. Asuma invited Naruto on behalf of Kurenai. Thanks. But I'm a little busy, Naruto told Asuma, as he walked past him and disappeared into the crowd of jonin. He's not the most social person, is he? Asuma asked Kurenai. She shook her head. How did her friend Anko get to know him? The next morning, at Training Ground 7. Alright. Glad to see you all made it here on time, Naruto told Sasuke and Hinata, as he walked on to Training Ground 7 with a still sleepy-looking Narumi. Like I told you yesterday, we'll start the day off with a little training. Let's start by warming up with a run. The three Genin groaned, but got ready to run. Wait. Who said you're running like this? Naruto plucked several leaves off of a tree. I want you to focus chakra onto your forehead, and keep the leaf on your head as you run. It'll be a chakra control exercise combined with physical fitness. Naruto told his genin as he passed out a leaf to each of them. Narumi groaned. This exercise was hard enough for her when standing still. The other two obediently placed a leaf on their forehead. It wasn't too difficult for them while they were standing still. Naruto began to place at least 20 leaves on different tenketsu all over his body, keeping them on with his chakra. He sent out a clone to gather more leaves. Once he covered all of his tenketsu, he looked like a cocoon of leaves. Alright, I'll be doing the exercise with you. Now let's run 20 laps around the training ground. Let's go! Naruto yelled out as he began to run. The three genin looked at each other. That was close to 8 kilometers. In the morning? They began regretting eating breakfast as they began to run. 45 minutes later, Naruto had been stretching for the last 25 minutes after he finished his laps. Narumi finally stumbled past the finish line. The running part was usually alright, but trying to keep the leaf from falling had required all of her focus. Meanwhile, Hinata's legs were throbbing as she struggled to catch her breath. Sasuke fared better than each of them, being better at chakra control than Narumi, and fitter than Hinata, but he was exhausted as well. Well, that was a great warm-up. A great way to start the day. Naruto commented to his team, sounding chipper than he did before the run. The genin just groaned at him in response. We'll begin the next set of exercises in around 10 minutes. Listen up as you rest, alright? Naruto asked, and the genin responded by giving him a thumbs up. They were too tired to talk. I was thinking about how I should train you, and I decided it's best if we focus on the basics first. Naruto began. Ah man! But Oniai-chan! You've been working with me on the basics this whole time. When are you going to teach us cool jutsu? Sasuke already knows a cool katan jutsu. Narumi complained. Oh, so you think cool, flashy jutsu are what make a shinobi strong? So, tell me how many cool jutsu I used to hand you your butts yesterday. Naruto asked. Like 2? Sasuke responded. Naruto laughed. Those? You mean futon, tapa, wind release, breakthrough, and kanashibari no jutsu, paralysis technique? Those are D-rank jutsu. I just mastered the basics to a degree where they are effective enough to be considered B, maybe even A-ranked. Even a ninja as powerful as Shursui made his name by mastering a basic move like the Shunshin. Naruto told his genin. The genin had nothing to say, since they knew Naruto had destroyed them yesterday using nothing higher than D-rank jutsu, but they still wanted to learn cooler stuff. That being said, I'm not completely lame, you know. I know how you guys want to learn cool moves. So I'm gonna compromise. Naruto told his genin, who perked up immediately. I'll teach you all 1 jutsu each, but I won't teach you anything else, in terms of jutsu, until you show me that you've mastered it, and how you can use it in different ways. Remember, it's better to have 1 jutsu mastered that you can use in 10 different ways, rather than 10 half-strength jutsu that you basically use for the same purpose. Naruto told them, and they nodded eagerly, practically silently begging to learn new jutsu. Alright, keep in mind that most shinobi don't learn these kinds of moves until they're close to Chunin, or until after they become Chunin. I'm teaching it to you guys, because I know you guys can handle it. That being said, I don't want you to tell anyone or to use the jutsu until you've gotten my permission to do so. The genin nodded in agreement. Okay, before we start, there's something we need to do. Naruto told his genin as he reached into his pocket and pulled out 3 sheets of paper. Do you know what these are? Naruto asked, and his genin shook their heads. Yeah, I didn't think so. These are chakra papers. Basically, you channel your chakra into the papers, and these hypersensitive sheets of paper will detect the elemental affinity you have in your chakra and show you. You're teaching us elemental jutsu? Narumi asked with absolute glee. Naruto nodded. If your paper burns, it means you have a fire affinity. If it crumples into itself, it means you have lightning, If it gets wet, it means you have water, and if you have earth-natured chakra, it will crumble into dust. Finally, if it cuts into two pieces, it means you have the rare, wind-natured chakra affinity. He told them as he passed out the sheets of paper. Sasuke eagerly channeled his chakra into the paper, and was surprised to see it both burn and crumple into itself. Impressive. You have two nature affinities. That's somewhat rare. Fire and lightning, huh? Naruto commented on Sasuke's discovery, and Sasuke beamed with pride. Take that, Itachi! He had more elemental affinities than him. Hinata's paper crumpled into itself. A lightning affinity in a Hyuga? That's rare. Usually Hyuga have earth affinities. Naruto commented. Hinata's shoulders drooped. No wonder she struggled with the Jukin. She couldn't even get her chakra nature properly. Naruto noticed Hinata's confidence dropping. He put his hands on her shoulders and dropped to one knee. Hey, that's not a bad thing, you know. Different doesn't mean bad. Lightning nature is actually quite a good nature affinity, though none of them are really bad. You know what, if you asked me, this is the best affinity for you. Hinata looked up to meet her sensei's beautiful cerulean orbs. What do you mean, sensei? She asked, barely holding back a full blush, and having a slight pink hue to her face instead. Naruto smirked. I've got plans for you. So many plans? I've got ideas popping up on how to help you use your lightning chakra. We'll make you the deadliest Hyuga ever seen. How does that sound? Hinata couldn't believe it. Her? The deadliest Hyuga? Are you sure? Me? You really think that I could become strong? She asked her sensei, not sensing a hint of doubt in him. How could he have so much faith in her already? Faith that even her own family didn't have? I'm certain. I see so much potential in you. All we have to do is bring it out. Will you help me show you how strong you really are? To show the whole world, and everyone who doubted you. Naruto offered with a warm smile. Hinata melted in his hands. Well, figuratively speaking, of course. She nodded. Hi, sensei. I'll do whatever you ask of me, she said with resolve. She decided to honor her sensei's firm belief in her by working her hardest. Naruto grinned. I'm glad to hear that. We'll show everyone, Hinata. Just believe in yourself like I believe in you. Hinata nodded. Finally, Narumi channeled her chakra into her paper. It split into two pieces, and one side liquefied completely, and the other side crumpled into a tight ball. So what does this mean? Narumi asked with a tilt of the head. Sensei? Sasuke asked. Did Narumi have 3 affinities? 3? That was nearly unheard of. Looks like you're my sister after all, huh? Naruto answered with a smirk. So, it looks like you got 3 affinities. I haven't seen anyone like that since, me. Yay. Looks like I got lightning, water, and wind. Sweet. Narumi cheered as she danced a little where she stood. You've got 3 elemental affinities, sensei? Sasuke asked in shock. Something like that, Naruto answered vaguely. Man, but all 3 of you have a lightning affinity? He began to laugh. Kumo is going to try to claim you guys or something. Forget Team 7. We're Team Lightning now. He joked as he laughed out loud. His students just looked at each other and gave an awkward laugh. It wasn't really that funny. Naruto wiped tears out of his eyes as he tried to stop laughing. Too bad your sensei doesn't have a lightning affinity. I'll have to pull some favors to get my senpai to train you in your lightning affinities. Sasuke frowned a little. He didn't want any lame sensei to teach him. So, who will you get to train our lightning affinities? Naruto answered with a knowing smirk. Oh, you'll see. He's a senpai of mine in ANBU. He was my captain when I first joined. He's a bit of a legend himself in the ANBU. Became Jonin at like age 14 or something. Sasuke's eyes widened. Okay, maybe this won't be too bad. Being trained by an ANBU captain sounded like a pretty sweet deal. Oh, how he wished he could brag to the others. So how about our other affinities? Like Narumi's water and wind affinity or my fire? Sasuke asked. Naruto said nothing, but he pulled out another sheet of chakra paper. He channeled his chakra into it, and it split into 3 strips, one liquefying immediately, and one burned to ashes instantly in a blue flame, and the strip in the middle fizzled away and dissolved. Don't worry about your other affinities, Naruto told Sasuke. Sasuke couldn't believe his eyes. What was with those blue flames? Wait, what was that middle one, Nichan? Narumi asked. Her brother's results were similar to hers, but looked a little different. Don't worry about it. Also, call me sensei when we meet like this. All you need to know is that I can teach you wind and water, as well your fire, Sasuke. Naruto told his two genin with multiple affinities. Once again, Hinata felt like she wasn't good enough with her single affinity. Why did she always have to be so plain compared to others? She tried to hide her disappointment, but Naruto caught on. Like I said, having multiple affinities doesn't necessarily mean you're stronger. You'll still have to master those elements, splitting your attention between them, while a person with one can focus all of their attention into their element. Also, like I said earlier, it's sometimes better to master one element, or even jutsu, and finding multiple ways to use it. Naruto explained to his genin, teaching them not to be too arrogant with their multiple affinities, or not to feel down because they only have one. Besides, Narumi and Sasuke have bigger reserves of chakra than most people their age. They'll most likely be ninjutsu specialists. Meanwhile, the Hyuga usually focus on their taijutsu. I already have an idea of how you could incorporate your affinity with your fighting style, Hinata. Hinata brightened up a little. Narumi's brother was just like Narumi, always making her feel better about herself. Now that we learned what affinities we have, we can start training those soon. I'll teach you how to master your affinity, and I'll bring my senpai tomorrow. We'll work on our taijutsu and combination attacks for an hour, and then start missions. Now get into your stances, Naruto instructed. The genin smiled. Now this was what they expected shinobi life to be like. Proper training and missions. They got into their stances and prepared for spars. At the mission board in the Hokage Tower, an hour later Naruto had his 3 students behind him, as he looked over what missions were available. He frowned as he looked over the missions. He had only done 5 D-rank missions in his genin days, and they were mostly missions regarding the village's reconstruction. He had thought the D-ranks back then were dull, but he had accepted it, due to the village's situation. These missions, however, were just chores. Painting a fence? Pass. Carrying groceries? Why the hell would you require a whole team of genin to carry groceries? Are you stocking up for a siege or something? Pass. Walking the Inuzuka dogs? Really? Pass. Naruto read over the missions available and couldn't help but think to himself about how useless these were. How would doing these missions help genin improve their skills? Why couldn't they hire some civilians to paint a freaking fence? His genin stood awkwardly behind him, looking around at the busy scene. Shinobi of all ranks were coming in and out, taking missions, or cashing out from completing one. They had even seen their fellow genin come and leave after taking a D-rank mission. What was taking their sensei so long? PSSD, Sasuke. What do you think he's looking for? Narumi whispered to Sasuke impatiently. How would I know? Maybe he's looking for a cool mission, he answered back. Babysit? What the hell? People really hire ninja to babysit? What the hell is wrong with these people? Pass. Naruto was getting frustrated. Is this what people were warning him about when becoming a Jonin sensei? Finding and catching Tora, the fire daimyo's wife's cat? I mean, it's lame, but I suppose at least it can help my genin train their tracking and capturing skills. I guess this is it then. The genin watched their sensei take a sheet of paper off of the mission board and walk over to them. He came over with a smile that failed to hide his bored and frustrated look. Alright team, this is your first mission. You ready? His genin nodded enthusiastically. Finally! The first mission of their shinobi careers. We'll be tracking and capturing this cat, he informed them as he pointed to a picture of Tora on the mission directive. Eh? This is our mission? This is lame, Narumi complained. This was not what she was looking forward to. This wasn't a mission. This was a chore. What happened to saving kingdoms and fighting criminals to protect princes and princesses? Sensei! This is a chore, tell them to find their own cat. Sasuke grumbled as well. This, my dear genin, is a D-rank mission. This is mostly what you'll be doing, Naruto told his genin, putting on his sensei face, though he wasn't sold himself. Well, we haven't got all day. Let's get this mission over with quickly if you want to eat lunch. Narumi dragged the other 2 genin out as she bolted for the door. She wasn't about to miss lunch looking for a stinking cat. A couple hours later Naruto watched his genin with a bored look, as they looked for the cat for hours. He missed being in the ANBU already. I think I found Tora, Hinata told her teammates with her Byakugan activated. It's hiding in the alley behind the fish store. Narumi, go to the other side of the alley. We'll surround him and cut off his escape. Sasuke instructed Narumi, who nodded and listened to his instructions. Naruto watched Sasuke giving orders and smiled. Looked like Sasuke had some leadership qualities and skills in strategizing. Sasuke and Narumi crept closer and closer, until they were near the trash can Tora was hiding behind. They looked at each other and mouthed a 3-second countdown, before leaping for Tora. Tora scratched Narumi, and jumped over Sasuke's head and escaped their blockade. This was the 5th time that demon spawn escaped their clutches. They were already covered in small scratches and dust from their previous failed attempts. They angrily turned around, muttering under their breaths about just blasting it with a fireball next time, only to see a content-looking Tora being petted in Hinata's arms. Look! It jumped into my arms. Hinata told her teammates, as she gave Tora a warm smile. Tora could sense the warm, kind energy around Hinata, and chose to be captured by her instead of the 2 genin who were starting to unknowingly release killing intent. Good. Now, just hand him over, and I'll skin him for a new hat. Narumi growled out as she looked over all of the scratches Tora had given her. No. Give him to me. I need some new winter socks. Sasuke told Hinata as he rubbed the grime off of his cheek from Tora, making him tackle the trash can instead as it escaped. And no! Don't hurt him. We have to complete the mission. Hinata told her teammates, using the mission as an excuse to prevent the cat from being harmed. Hinata's right, you two. Let's get this mission over with. Hinata, hold on to Tora. Let's head back. Naruto told his genin. He was glad this mission was over with. At the Hokage's office. Oh! My sweet Tora! There you were! Madame Shurjimi, the fire daimyo's wife, cooed to Tora as she welcomed Tora back with a tight squeeze. Hinata winced at the sight, while Narumi and Sasuke gave the cat a wicked grin, savoring its suffering. Yes, suffer you damn demon cat. They both thought to themselves. Team 7 reporting a successful mission, Hokage-sama. Naruto told Hiruzen, as he saluted him. Very good. I'll have the payment for a successful mission added to your accounts. The Hokage told the team before him. Please leave me a written report later. Naruto nodded in response. Madame Shurjimi left satisfied, holding on to Tora tightly, to make sure he didn't escape again. Hinata gave Tora a sad look as the lady left with her pet. Alright Team 7, you are dismissed now. Good work on completing your first mission. The Sandaime told Team 7. Meet me at our training ground for our afternoon training session. I'll catch up with you in a bit. Naruto told his team, and they shrugged their shoulders and left. Is there something you need to tell me, Naruto-kun? Hiruzen asked the blonde before him. Naruto made sure the door closed before he loosened his stance before the Hokage. Ugh! Hokage-sama. That was brutal. Why are these chores on the mission board? I saw a mission for painting a fence and even one for babysitting. Babysitting? You don't need ninja for these errands. How are these missions? Naruto grumbled. Hiruzen laughed. I did warn you that being a Jonin sensei could be a bit dull for you, Naruto-kun. These missions are meant to introduce and ingratiate the civilian population to the shinobi population, so that they can interact more. It'll help us have a more unified village, as well as help promote teamwork between teams that could have genin that are working together for the first time. He explained. If I do one more of these D-rank missions, I might, accidentally, end up with a rope around my neck hanging from a tree. Please, Hokage-sama, give us a C-rank mission. My team already has good teamwork. Naruto begged. Hiruzen chuckled. I'm afraid I can't do that. Genin are supposed to take at least 30 D-rank missions before they can take a C-rank mission. Wait, that can't be right. I remember only doing 5 D-rank missions when I was a genin. Naruto argued back. Well, times were different. Your team was a special case. Hiruzen tried to explain. That's a weak excuse, and you know it. This team is special too. Give us a C rank, and I'll prove it to you. Naruto pleaded. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, but you'll have to complete your 30 missions like everyone else. The old Hokage told him. How do you expect me to train these kids into the next Sannin when they're out here painting fences? You're squandering their potential. The rules were made as a guideline or framework for producing shinobi, but you should know when there are cases when you're hindering growth by holding them to rules that are basically obsolete to them. Naruto threw his hands in the air in frustration. Hiruzen knew Naruto had a point, so he kept his mouth closed as he thought. Why don't you consider this part of my favor? I mean, I did offer a pretty big cut in debt payments for a favor that ultimately only benefits Konoha, Naruto pleaded. Hiruzen finally spoke up after a few seconds of thinking. Fine. I'll compromise. If you think your team is so special, I'll let them take a C-rank mission. Naruto was about to thank him when the Hokage continued to speak. Only after you do 4 more D ranks. I won't have them take fewer missions than you. Naruto grumbled a little, but knew this was the best deal he was going to get from the old man. Fine. Sounds like a deal. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Naruto bowed to the Sandaime. I'd better not regret this, Naruto-kun. Hiruzen told Naruto, who grinned. Oh, I wouldn't worry about that if I were you. They'll be just fine. Naruto told Hiruzen as he walked out the office. He just needed to bear through 4 more of the civilians' errands before he could get back to real shinobi work. Chapter 20, D-Rank Missions Part 2. At Training Ground 7. So those are D-Rank missions? Ugh, they're so lame. If I see that stinking cat one more time. Ugh! Narumi yelled out, throwing her hands in the air. Sasuke nodded in agreement. So, these are the kind of missions we'll be doing as genin. What a waste of time. I'd rather train than to be someone's errand boy. Hinata didn't really mind. Safe, easy missions, and she got to spend time with her 2 best friends? She'd take that any day. She wasn't sure she wanted to, or was ready to, go on life or death missions anytime soon. Where's Oniai-chan anyway? What's taking him so long? What are we supposed to do for him while we wait? Narumi thought to herself out loud. I guess we could get a little training in. Maybe work on our chakra control, Sasuke suggested. Narumi hated chakra control exercises but knew it's what she needed to work on the most. She reluctantly agreed. The 3 genin each grabbed a leaf from a nearby tree and began to float it on their palms. A few moments later, their sensei appeared in a swirl of leaves. Training while you were waiting for me? Now that's a great idea. Good job, guys. Naruto was pleased at their initiative. Sasuke smiled at the praise, as it was his idea. I've decided we'll be having days where we'll do missions, and other days where we train the whole day. Missions are great, but it's more important to improve your skills and teamwork, Naruto informed his genin team. But sensei. We'll be falling behind everyone in missions then, Narumi whined. Don't you worry about that. They won't be saying anything to you if you're stronger than them, her brother told her. Now let's get started with your afternoon training. Looks like you guys got the right idea already. We'll be working on both refining your chakra control, as well as expanding your reserves, Naruto told his team. The exercise we'll be doing is called the tree walking exercise. Tea tree walking? Hinata asked. We'll be walking on trees? Narumi asked, imagining them walking from branch to branch. Precisely. Watch. Naruto began to walk up a tree, using chakra to attach his feet to the tree as he walked up vertically. Whoa! That's awesome! I'll never use another set of stairs again, Narumi exclaimed. Naruto chuckled as he sat on a branch. Alright everyone. Now that you've seen what the exercise is, let me explain to you how it works. Basically, you focus chakra on your feet, and use it to stick your feet onto the tree. Now the trick is to get the amount of chakra you use just right. If you use too little, you won't stick, and if you use too much, you'll be propelled off of the tree. He threw a kunai in front of each of his genin's feet. Use those kunai to mark the tree when you feel like you're losing control and about to fall off, so you can mark your progress. If you get to the top of the tree, walk up and down the tree until I tell you that you can stop. Now begin! The genin picked up the kunai and began the tree walking exercise. Hinata had the best chakra control amongst the 3 of them, due to precise chakra control being a prerequisite for the Juken style of taijutsu, and also her smaller reserves. After a couple attempts, she was able to get the feel of it, and reached the top of the tree. Great job, Hinata! I wasn't expecting any of you to get the hang of it so quickly. I guess your Juken helped you with your chakra control. Now keep up the good work and walk up and down the tree until the others get the hang of it as well. Hinata was encouraged by Naruto's praise, and went back to her exercise eagerly. Narumi and Sasuke were struggling a little more, Narumi more so than Sasuke. They were spurred by the desire to get it down before the other, and went at it relentlessly. 3 hours passed, and Sasuke finally made it to the top, while Narumi was close to doing so. By now, Hinata was too tired to continue the exercise, and was sitting next to Naruto, who was watching Narumi and Sasuke's progress, as well as telling Hinata things she could be working on. I saw your grades for the Genin exams, and I was impressed. You were close to being Kunoichi of the Year, Naruto told Hinata, who blushed at the praise. Your shuriken and kunai throwing weren't bad either, with October 10th and September 10th respectively. You have pretty good accuracy and some talent in throwing, which gives me an idea. Naruto began, and Hinata gave her handsome sensei all of her attention. I think we could take advantage of your Byakugan, and its ability to see the inner workings of the human body in extreme detail. Now your style of taijutsu doesn't require strength, but precision instead. As such, you have good aim, but your range is a little limited, using heavier throwing weapons. How about you switch to using Senbon? Usually, they're not the most lethal or dangerous, but you have good precision, and you can see the weak points of the body. If you use your Byakugan to aim your Senbon at pressure points, you'll be able to incapacitate your opponents with a flick of the wrist, Naruto suggested. It'll be similar in principle to the Juken. What do you think? Hinata thought about her sensei's suggestion. It wasn't like the kunai were super heavy, but she would prefer something lighter, so she could have more range. If her knowledge of pressure points were correct too, it meant she could take down opponents without killing them, and if needed, have the option of killing them as well. It would work perfectly with her Kekkei Genkai. Why didn't the rest of my clan use Senbon? It makes so much sense to pair it with the Byakugan, she thought to herself. Her clan was too fixated on their powerful taijutsu that they had stopped working on branching out into other skills. I think that's a good idea, sensei, she quietly responded. Naruto gave her a smile that made it hard for her to meet his gaze. Good. The Hyuga are currently a little too focused on the Juken. You can show your clan how powerful they can be, and save them from their myopic view on the other ninja arts, by mastering them, and making a name for yourself. Don't tell your family though. I want it to be a surprise until we have the right stage to display your talents. Hinata nodded. It's not like they care about what I do anyway, she said with her face downcast. Naruto frowned. Hinata, if you don't feel comfortable at home, you can always come stay with me and Narumi. Hinata pictured living with her best friend and her hunky sensei. It seemed amazing, but she knew she couldn't. It would be a bad look for her clan. Thank you, sensei. But I'll have to decline. Father would never allow it, Hinata told her sensei. I could talk to your father if you wish, but do what's most comfortable for you. Let me know if you need me to do anything for you. Feel free to come see me at my house whenever, okay? Remember, our team is our second family, he told his shy genin Kunoichi, who nodded appreciatively. Finally got it. They heard a yell, and turned to see Narumi at the top of the tree. Good job! Now go up and down the tree like Sasuke is doing, until I tell you to stop, Naruto yelled back at her. Anyway, I feel like there's a lot of things you could work on, that'll help you make the most of your Kekkei Genkai, Naruto told Hinata. I'll bring some material you can study tomorrow. It'll be helpful if you know the anatomy of the human body. Hinata nodded in agreement. It was now close to 5 p.m., so Naruto told his two genin to stop the tree climbing exercise. Great first day, you guys. I'm happy with what I've seen today. I can see you guys are talented, motivated, and have great teamwork. I'm gonna enjoy working with you. Continue to give me your best, and I'll have you guys in tip-top shape in no time, Naruto told his team. I'll see you guys at the same time tomorrow. Make sure you guys eat well and get plenty of sleep. Naruto greeted Hinata and Sasuke farewell. I've got some things to do, so you're gonna need to go to Tsunade Byae-chan's dinner by yourself tonight, he told Narumi. But you didn't come last time either, Narumi complained to Naruto. I'll try to make it to the next one. It's important. Tell Byae-chan and Shizen-san that I'll be there next time. Anyway, got to go. I'll see you at home, Naruto told Narumi as he shined away, leaving a pile of leaves behind. Bah, he always leaves a mess behind, Narumi shouted out to no one in particular. Guess I'll head over to Ba-chan's. At Tsunade's house. Hey Ba-chan! I'm here! Narumi shouted out as she took off her shoes at the entrance. Oh, how many times did I tell you not to call me that? Tsunade yelled back as she came out to greet her niece-like figure. Welcome, Narumi-chan! Shizen greeted, sticking her head out from the kitchen, before she stepped out wearing an apron over her clothes. Where's Naruto-san? He said he's busy. Again. Narumi rolled her eyes. Busy with what? I thought he quit ANBU. Tsunade thought to herself out loud. I don't know. Said it was important. Narumi told Tsunade. A few moments later, they were seated around the dinner table for some danburi. So, you're finally a genin. How was your first day? Shizen asked Narumi. Hold on, before that, how's your team? Tsunade asked. Right, who's on your team? Are you happy with who you got on your team? Who's your sensei? Did you get a summa? Shizen asked. Whoa, slow down there with the questions. Narumi told the two older women as she finished chewing and swallowing the food that was in her mouth. My team is awesome. I got exactly who I wanted on my team. I got Sasuke and Hinata on my team. Narumi told the two women enthusiastically. That's great. You were so worried about ending up with people you don't like, Shizen commented. Yup. Also, I didn't get a summa as a sensei, but it's alright, since Oniai-chan decided to be our sensei instead. Narumi mentioned to Shizen and Tsunade. Tsunade raised an eyebrow. The brat decided to be a Jonin sensei? That's why he quit the ANBU. She asked Narumi. Yup. He's pretty strong, I think, so he's a good sensei, I would say. We're all used to training with him at least a couple times, so there wasn't any of that awkwardness you might have with meeting new people. Narumi stated. Tsunade snorted. Pfft. That brat is a sensei? Now there's an image I've never thought of before. You guys are gonna suffer. Tsunade-sama. Shizen scolded Tsunade. I'm sure he'll be a great sensei. He can be kind when he wants to. And he's strong. Very strong. Shizen recalled the fight Naruto had in the forest against the IWA Nin 5 years ago, and him saving her. It had been the beginning of her changing her view of him. Fine. Anyway, so how was your first day? Did you do any missions? Tsunade asked with a smirk on her face. D-rank missions. She was glad to be done with that nonsense. The training part was tough, but still, it was nice. But the missions? Ugh. Bachan, they made us catch this demon cat they call Tora, and it was the worst thing ever. Apparently, all of the D-rank missions are sucky like that. Narumi complained. That cat is still alive? Shizen wondered out loud. They had us catching him when I was a genin. How have they still not figured out how to prevent him from escaping? Tsunade laughed. Hell, I remember when you had to catch that stupid cat. Good times. Well, have fun with your D-rank missions, brat. She laughed at Narumi's groan. Thanks, Bachan. Narumi stated sarcastically in a flat tone. At the ANBU HQ. Taicho. You're back. Have you decided to rejoin? Yugao asked hopefully, when she saw her former captain back at the base. Yugao. Good to see you again. Naruto greeted her. No, I'm not back in the NBU. I'm here to find Kakashi. Yugao was disappointed. She missed her captain. Well, that's too bad. You can always come back when you want. We can always use you here. Anyway, Kakashi Taicho is probably reading his smut in the lounge. Thank you, Yugao. Maybe when I have time later, we can have a spar or something. You can bring your boyfriend too. Naruto told Yugao as he headed to the ANBU lounge. He paused before he left. Actually, I think I could use some help from you too. That got Yugao's attention. She had always wanted to be noticed or be more useful for her former Taicho, who had done a lot for her when she first joined the ANBU. She nodded her head to let him know he would get what he asked for. Sure thing, Taicho. What do you need? She asked, and Naruto responded with a grin. At the ANBU lounge. There you are. Just where I left you a week ago. Reading the same book in the same couch. If I didn't know better, I'd think it was the same day. Naruto greeted his former captain as he entered the lounge. Kakashi didn't look up from his book, but greeted him with a lazy wave. Why go anywhere else when I can reach enlightenment from this spot? This is a good scene too. Art deserves to be appreciated multiple times. Naruto scoffed. As if that smut written by that useless pervert is good for anything. You really need to get your nose out of that book and get a girlfriend, Kakashi-senpai. And where's yours? Kakashi asked back. Touché. Naruto had nothing to say to that. Anyway, I didn't come here to talk to you about finding a girlfriend. I need a favor. Kakashi kept his eyes on the book. A favor? Yes. A favor. My genin have lightning affinities, but I can't train them in that, so I'm gonna need you to come help them train their affinities. Kakashi peeked over his book. Did you say genin? Naruto, why are a bunch of genin getting trained in their elemental affinity anyway? Usually they wait until they're chunin before getting into that. Yeah? Enough with that usually crap. You know I don't always do things the usual way. So, are you gonna help me train them or what? Naruto asked his senpai. Man, that sounds like a drag. Not interested. Kakashi replied back as he went back to his book. Naruto chuckled. I didn't know you were related to the Nara. He went over and pulled the book down slightly to make eye contact with the masked ninja. Must I remind you that you owe me? Owe me many favors? Do you want me to remind you why? Naruto told Kakashi. Kakashi sighed and put a bookmark into his book as he closed it. Fine. I'll help. You just need me to teach them training exercises to help them master their element, correct? Naruto grinned. For now. Kakashi already could sense this was just the beginning. He sighed. Fine. When do you need me to help? I'll see you at training ground 7 at 8. Oh, and if you're late, I'm gonna put all your books in Yugao's underwear drawer. I'm sure she'll enjoy your signed copies. Naruto threatened Kakashi as he vanished in a shunshin. Kakashi stared at the pile of leaves left behind. Damn it! Now he needed to wake up early to train some genin brats. If he wanted to do that, he would have become a Jonin sensei. At the Namikaze Uzumaki house. So how was dinner? Naruto asked as he stepped through the door, finding Narumi eating some instant ramen. You did eat dinner with them, right? Of course, Nichan. This is just a snack. Narumi answered with a mouthful of noodles. Dinner was great. Shizen Nechan cooked up some really good danburi. It was almost like ramen, but with rice instead of noodles, and less broth. Naruto laughed. Doesn't sound anything like ramen to me. Anyway, I'm glad you enjoyed it. He told Narumi, as he went to the fridge to get himself something to drink. I heard you loved your D-rank mission. He told Narumi, as he collapsed into a couch with his drink. Where did you hear that? D-rank suck and I-chan. When can we get a C-rank one? Narumi asked as she brought the bowl of instant noodles to her mouth to slurp some of the broth. Tsunade Bachan told me when I dropped by. Naruto answered her. When did you drop by? I was there until an hour ago. Narumi asked her brother. Well, I stopped by to borrow this book on human anatomy and pressure points from Bachan before I came home. Anyway, we won't be getting a C-rank mission anytime soon. Got more D-ranks to do before we're allowed to take any C-ranks. Exciting, huh? Naruto asked Narumi sarcastically as he sipped on his drink. Lame. Ugh, how many more of these chores do we have to do before we're allowed? Narumi asked. Naruto smirked. Until I say you're ready for a C-rank. The next day, at Training Ground 7, Naruto and Narumi arrived at Training Ground 7 first, and began to stretch. A few minutes later, they were joined by Sasuke and Hinata. Alright senpai, you can come out now. Naruto called out to seemingly nowhere, and the genin looked at him strangely. They were surprised when they saw a ninja with tall, spiky silvery white hair with a mask seemingly appear out of nowhere. Yo! Kakashi greeted Team 7 with a lazy wave. Kakashi and I? This is your senpai, Oni-chan? Narumi asked her sensei. Yup. He's one of the strongest ninjas in Konoha, who happens to have a lightning affinity. He'll help you master lightning manipulation. Naruto introduced Kakashi to his team. So, wanna get started with the training, Kakashi-sensei? He asked with a smirk. Kakashi shivered at the title. He was definitely not used to being called that, and it brought up too many memories of scenes from his favorite book series. I guess now is as good as any time to start. Alright, as you've just heard, I'm Hatake Kakashi. I'm your sensei's senpai. Anyway, now that you know who I am, let's get started with the training, Kakashi stated as he walked over to grab some leaves from a tree. They've got multiple ways of training lightning affinities, but in Konoha, this is how we do it. Take this leaf, and channel a small amount of chakra into the leaf until it begins to vibrate. If it burns up or tears up, you've put too much. Once you can get the leaf to vibrate pretty consistently for 5 minutes straight, you're ready for the next step. In case you manage to get it down at home, or I'm not here, I'll let you know what's next. You channel your chakra into a light bulb, until it's as bright as the bulbs lighting your rooms. If it bursts, you've put too much. Kakashi told Team 7, as he demonstrated by making the leaf he was holding vibrate with lightning chakra. Sasuke and Hinata were having trouble making their leaves vibrate, while Narumi kept on having to get new leaves, as they kept on burning up or exploding in her hands. Now I just want to let you know, this first step will take most chunin at least a month, usually taking around 3. The second step is usually another 3 months to really get down consistently. Kakashi told the 3 genin. He stayed around in the morning, giving them tips and pointers, until Naruto told him he could go around lunchtime. He left as soon as he was dismissed. He had some morning reading to catch up on. The team headed out to get a bite for lunch after their morning training. At a small restaurant at the Uchiha compound. So, what did you guys think of elemental manipulation exercises? Fun stuff, huh? Naruto asked, a little sarcastically. Nichan, that was so frustrating. Ugh. That stinkin' leaf kept exploding in my hands. Narumi complained as she dug into her yakisoba. It was a little difficult. I think I'll need more tea time before I understand how to do the exercise. Hinata said quietly. Sasuke scowled. Why is it so hard? He yelled as he slammed a fist on the table. I can't get that stupid leaf to vibrate. Now, I told you this is some very advanced stuff. I don't expect you to get it down until a few months later. Don't be too frustrated. I started you guys way earlier than what's usual, so I'm not expecting quick progress. Naruto said in order to calm his team down a little. You actually don't need to master elemental manipulation to learn elemental jutsu, just like Sasuke didn't master his fire manipulation before learning the Gakkaku no Jutsu, Grand Fireball technique. It's just that once you master it, you can learn elemental jutsu much faster, and it'll be much stronger too. Naruto informed his team. The 3 genin reluctantly accepted the situation, and vowed to get it down as quickly as they could. In the afternoon, at Training Ground 7-inch, we're not taking any missions today. Naruto told his team. I've decided I'm going to focus on one of you and have tutors sharpen some of your other skills. We'll rotate until I've got to spend time with each of you, which is 3 days, then we'll do teamwork exercises and formation drills on the 4th day. On the 5th day we'll take a mission, and then you can have the weekends off. Shizen and Yugao showed up to the training ground as he finished his speech. There they are. Welcome to Training Ground 7. Team, say hello to Shizen, one of the best medics in this village, and possibly the world, and Yugao, one of my kohai from the ANBU. She's a kenjutsu expert. The genin's eyes were sparkling, as they saw the tutors Naruto brought for them. They were impressed with his connections. They wondered if all the other genin were getting such quality training. Alright, Shizen-san, will you please work with Hinata on her knowledge of the human body and its pressure points? Maybe some basic medical knowledge would be nice too, so she can help out with first aid if any of us get hurt. Naruto asked Shizen, and she nodded to show her agreement. Very good. Now Yugao, do you mind testing my sister's skill with the blade, and maybe show her a few tricks? Naruto asked Yugao. Hi, Naruto Taishu. Yugao replied, as she saluted her former captain. Hey. Come on now, you don't need to do all that. You're embarrassing me. Naruto told his former subordinate. Meanwhile, his students hadn't really seen him at work before, so they thought it was super cool to see how much respect he commanded in the elite force of shinobi known as the ANBU. Their already high respect for Naruto went up even more. How about me, sensei? Sasuke asked Naruto. Naruto gave him a grin. You'll be working with me first. The 3 genin went to their respective tutors to work on their skills all afternoon. Naruto taught the hand seals required for the Ryoka no Jutsu, Dragon Flame technique, to Sasuke, a technique which could be used in conjunction with his ninja wires. Shizen instructed Hinata on pressure points and nerve clusters, and Hinata showed an interest in paralysis. Shizen had a smile on her face when she saw how determined she was. Yugao sparred with Narumi, and was thoroughly impressed. Sure, she beat Narumi every time, but Narumi's skill with the blade exceeded any genin she ever knew, and was even better than most chunin. It raised her respect for her former captain, knowing that he had trained Narumi in kenjutsu. When it was 5 p.m., Naruto gathered his team and dismissed the tutors after he thanked them. So, what did you think of your tutors and their lessons today? He asked. That was fun. Yugao Nei-chan is super strong. She kicked my butt all afternoon, but I think I picked up a couple of tricks. Can't wait to spar with her again. Narumi replied with a huge smile on her face. Hinata loved Shizen. She was very nurturing and kind. She was the kind older woman figure she needed in her life. Hinata was thriving under her patient instruction and encouragement. I like Shizen-sensei. She's very kind, and she teaches very methodically. Hinata commented. There was nothing more for Sasuke to say. He had a blast getting one-on-one training from his sensei, and he was learning another fire jutsu. It reminded him of all the good times he spent training with Itachi and Shursui, before everything happened. Sasuke just summarized how he felt into very simple words. I like this system. It's good training. Naruto smiled as he heard the stellar reception to his training regiment. Good to hear it, he exclaimed. He dismissed the team for the day, and Sasuke headed home for dinner. Naruto stopped Hinata before she left to hand her a book. Hinata looked at the book cover and realized it was on human anatomy and pressure points. She looked back up to her sensei from her book. I want you to go home and study this book whenever you have the time. All right? Naruto asked, and Hinata replied with an eager nod of the head before she turned around to go home. The next day was similar, with Kakashi training the 3 genin in lightning manipulation all morning. Only he stayed for the afternoon session as well, to give more attention on Sasuke's lightning manipulation, as well as helping him with the Ryokan no Jutsu, as Kakashi was familiar with the technique. Narumi once again sparred with Yugao, doing even better than the day before, though she still failed to beat Yugao even once. Yugao didn't want to make Narumi arrogant, so she didn't tell her, but she realized Narumi was a natural with the sword. She was good with the whirlpool style of Kenjutsu, but mixed it up with her unpredictable moves every once in a while, which gave Yugao a challenge she hadn't had in a while. Meanwhile, Naruto focused on Hinata. He introduced her to Senbon, and began to train her in how to throw it. It took a moment to get used to it, but her experience with kunai and shuriken helped her understand the mechanics and make quick progress with the new weapon. The third day the genin continued to train and work with their respective tutors. Hinata went back to Shizen, while Sasuke continued to work with Kakashi. It was Narumi's turn to have a training day with Naruto. What will you be teaching me, Anai-chan? Narumi asked her brother and sensei. Naruto gave her a smile that promised a lot of hard work. It's time for you to get started on your water manipulation. Narumi's shoulders sagged a little. Great, she was struggling with lightning, and now she was about to throw in a whole other element to make it more difficult. Naruto noticed and laughed. Well, we'll start by trying to draw the water out of this leaf, he told her as he handed her a leaf. She sighed and took the leaf. She tried to channel her water chakra, but all it did was go between shaking violently in her hand and sweating out the occasional drop of water. Why don't we get started on a water jutsu, so you get the feel for what it's like to use water chakra? I guess a little confusion was bound to happen, since we're training multiple elemental affinities simultaneously. Naruto told Narumi, who perked up. She preferred learning jutsu over sharpening base skills, which seemed vague to her, as she didn't fully understand how it really applied to her other skills. Naruto began to teach her the hand seals for Mizurappa, water trumpet. Narumi copied down the seals he was doing, and went over the hand seals a few times without chakra, to try to get used to the science. Finally, she headed over to a training dummy which was a bit further away from everyone, in order to prevent any accidents should the jutsu go wrong. She went through the hand seals, and shouted out the jutsu. Suetun, Mizurappa, water release, water trumpet. A spray of water imbued with lightning spewed out of the redhead Kunoichi's mouth. Naruto stood there speechless. When people who had multiple affinities trained their affinities simultaneously, they would sometimes get the nature of the chakra wrong, and the jutsu wouldn't work. However, the jutsu would never combine the nature of both chakras, unless they had a dash. Kekkei Genkai, Naruto whispered to himself. He decided not to tell Narumi until they were back home tonight. Oops. Sorry about that, Anai-chan. Looks like I accidentally used my lightning chakra too. Narumi apologized. Naruto laughed, both because he found her expression to be funny, but also to shift the attention away. Looks like you did. It means you're not doing it quite right. Let's work on your water manipulation a bit more. Create 10 of your shadow clones, and have them practice water manipulation with the leaves, while we work with you on this jutsu, Naruto told his sister. The fourth day. Alright, I'm seeing a lot of good progress from your individual tutoring. However, if you guys don't work on teamwork as well, all of your new jutsu that your teammates are unfamiliar with might become a hindrance and get in your way. That's why we'll be spending the whole day on teamwork exercises and work on your team combos and formations. The blonde sensei instructed his students. They spent most of the morning learning different formations their team might use, ranging from different formations while traveling, protecting a client, or setting ambushes. In the afternoon, they used their new knowledge on formations in a 3-on-1 spar against their sensei, who they tried to take down in different scenarios with their combo attacks. At the end of the day, Naruto looked over at his 3 genin who had worn themselves exhausted. He was proud of their work ethic, as well as their cooperation with each other. True, they had failed in landing any hits on him, but Naruto could see the improvement with each attempt. He was sure they would soon be ready for a C rank. The 5th day on Friday, Naruto trained his students in the morning as usual, but in the afternoon, they took a D rank mission. The team hated them. Training for being ambushed by enemy shinobi during an escort mission, and working on deadly team combinations, only to go to paint a fence as a mission? It was so dull, they imagined even Shikamaru finding this boring. The next month the team trained around this schedule for 4 weeks, resting on the weekends. It had now almost been a month, and they had gotten 5 D-rank missions completed. The 3 genin on Team 7 had gotten close to mastering the first stage of their lightning affinity, with Hinata showing the highest mastery. She was ready for the next stage, while the other 2 were close as well. Their individual skills had grown impressively under their tutors. Sasuke was now able to perform the Ryuka no Jutsu, Dragon Flame technique, though still with various amounts of success. Narumi's swordplay had gotten even more unpredictable, while still sharpening her katas and moves of her style. She was now able to spar with Yugao, taking half the amount of hits she had taken before, though she was still unable to beat her once. She still struggled with her Suidan, but she could still perform the jutsu occasionally. Hinata's constant study of the human anatomy with Shizen and also at home helped her improve her knowledge of pressure points and other weak spots, which not helped her become more deadly with both her Juken and Saban, but also helped her take a role as the unofficial medic of the team if Naruto was unavailable. While they were definitely growing in skill and teamwork, their frustration was also growing, as they hated D-rank missions. It all came to a head when they ran across Team 8. "Hey, isn't that Shino? It's been forever. We should go and say hi," Narumi told her 2 teammates, who she dragged along as she ran towards her bug-using friend. "Hey, Shino! It's been forever. How are ya? How's your team?" Narumi asked. "It is good to see you again, Narumi-san, Hinata-san, Sasuke-san. I am doing quite well. Our team works together surprisingly well," Shino told his friends. "Really? Aren't Kiba and Sakura annoying?" Narumi asked in surprise. "They've changed since we became a team. Kurenai-sensei must have influenced them positively," the Montoni Aburaim replied. The rest of Team 8 walked around the corner to see Team 7's genin. "Sup losers, taking any missions yet? I saw the charts, and it looks like you guys have done 5 D ranks," Kiba told the team he saw as his rival. Team 7 just gave Shino a look. This was the change he was talking about. "Sheesh, what's with that? You guys are barely doing 1 mission a week. You guys sure are lazy. We've already done like 30. Sometimes we take 2 missions in a single day. I think we're almost ready for a C rank," Kiba bragged. Sakura smacked Kiba on the top of his head. "Cut that out. This isn't a competition to see who can complete more missions the fastest. We're all comrades." She chastised him for his foolish behavior, and surprisingly apologized to Team 7 before leaving. Of course, she couldn't leave without saying hi to Sasuke, and stealing a few glances as she left. "Was that Sakura?" Narumi asked in surprise. She hadn't insulted her once, and even apologized for her team's childish behavior. "Looks like that was the change Shino-kun was talking about," Hinata commented. "Well, that's a pleasant change. Maybe she'll take being a shinobi a little more seriously now," Sasuke added. If Sakura had heard, she'd melt into a puddle as she blushed. "Still, can't say what Dog Boy said didn't annoy me though," Sasuke told his 2 friends, who agreed. Team 7's genin they knew they were stronger, but they were being left behind in missions. They were frustrated with the situation. They arrived at their meeting spot near the Hokage Tower after lunch and found their sensei waiting for them. "Hey team! Ready for another mission?" Naruto asked cheerfully, as he led them towards the mission board. His sister replied snappishly at his cheerful tone. "Ugh! Another D rank! I'm sick of these stupid D rank missions, And now it looks like Team 8 might get a C-rank mission soon. We're so behind Nii-chan. What's the point of training so hard if all we do are errands and chores? Naruto pulled a couple missions off of the board as he listened to his sister's rant. So, you guys are telling me you don't want to go grocery shopping for Takashi-san? The genin shook their heads at their sensei's question. How about catching Tora? You guys did pretty well that last time. The three genin responded desperately in unison. No! Naruto chuckled. Fine. Follow me. He told his team as he placed the missions back on the board. The Hokage's office Hiruzen was going over mission assignments with Irika, when his assistant called for him. Hokage-sama, Naruto-san is here to see you. Send him in. The Hokage responded, wondering what this was all about. The door opened, and Naruto strolled in, followed by his three genin. Hello, Naruto-kun. What can I do for you? The old Hokage asked. Naruto gave the old man a smirk. I'm here for that C-rank mission. His team's eyes widened. A C-rank? They were getting a C-rank? They were beyond excited. They'd be the first in their class. A C-rank? Hokage-sama, you can't be serious. They were in my class just a month ago. They're not ready. Irika protested. A lot can happen in a month, Irika-san. In any case, they're not your students anymore, so it's not for you to say. Nobody asked for your input. Naruto told the man coldly. Irika stood up angrily and glared at Naruto. Naruto didn't pay him any attention. Hiruzen stopped the one-sided stare off. It's all right, Irika-kun. I did tell him he could take a C-rank mission for his team once he felt they were ready. The team was bubbling with excitement, as Hiruzen told his assistant to bring the client into the room. The door opened, and a short old man with a bottle of sake and the smell of alcohol entered the room. I asked for ninja protection, and you give me a bunch of kids? The old man complained. Hiruzen chuckled. Team 7, this is your client. Tazuna, the bridge builder of Nami no Kuni, Wave Country. You will be escorting him back home tomorrow. Naruto looked at his team with a smirk. So, you kids ready for your first C-rank? Chapter 21 Mission to Wave Part 1. At the Hokage's office. Wait, you can't be serious. This is my guard detail? A bunch of kids? They don't look like they can protect themselves, let alone me. Look at that girl. She's blind, for crying out loud. This is ridiculous. I paid good money for Super Ninja to protect me. Tazuna, the elderly bridge builder from Wave, complained to the Hokage. He had expected better protection after scrounging together all the money he could to save his village. He was disappointed. Hey! Don't call Hinata a blind girl. She can see 1,000 times better than you, you stupid old drunk man. Narumi snapped back. She wasn't about to let this drunk man get away with disrespecting her friends, especially Hinata, who had a rough life at home. What did you say? Stupid old drunk? It's just drunk old man to you, little tomato-looking brat. Didn't your parents teach you to respect your elders? Tazuna yelled back at Narumi. Everyone in the room cringed a little when Tazuna brought up Narumi's parents. Unfortunately, her parents died when she was born. So no, her parents were in fact not able to teach her to respect her elders. Instead, I taught her to stand up for herself, and to stand up for her friends. I'd say she's doing a great job at that, wouldn't you? Naruto told Tazuna with a nonchalant attitude and smile on his face that failed to make anyone feel safe. The atmosphere in the room became even more awkward. Why yes, of course. Doing a, super job. Tazuna stammered out, barely able to string the gibberish response together. He knew he messed up with that last comment. Hiruzen decided he had enough fun watching the awkward interaction that made everyone cringe, and broke the tension. Alright everyone. That's enough. Tazuna-san, you paid for a C-rank mission, and this team is more than equipped to deal with the kinds of threats you told us we could expect. Tazuna couldn't help but to guiltily gulp at that. Now that we are all acquainted with each other, and know what the mission is all about, why don't we all head home and prepare for it? The Hokage dismissed everyone. Naruto was grinning as he watched everything. He enjoyed watching people squirm uncomfortably from time to time. Sounds good, Hokage-sama. Alright team, meet me at the gate by 7:30 tomorrow. Pack for a month's trip. You are all dismissed. Team 7 nodded and left with their sensei. Tazuna couldn't be happier to leave the room as well. He took a glance at Team 7 as they left. He didn't know why, but he felt like he was in danger when he mentioned the redhead girl's parents. He didn't understand the concept of killing intent, but he instinctively knew the blonde sensei was dangerous, even though his outward demeanor seemed relaxed. The pale boy had given off a dangerous vibe too. He decided he'd be a little more careful tomorrow. The Uchiha clan head's house. The surviving members of the clan head's family were seated around the table for dinner. Izumi had been working with Mikoto on some police work, and was also present, staying for dinner at Mikoto's invitation. So, I got my first C-rank mission. I'm heading to Wave Country tomorrow, Sasuke informed the two older Uchiha women at the table. A C-rank? Already? Didn't you say you only completed 5 D-ranks so far? Izumi asked in surprise, stopping mid-reach for a piece of teriyaki chicken. Mikoto was shocked as well. It's only been a month. Do you think you're ready to leave the village? Anything could happen out there. Mikoto was worried for her only remaining child. She had gotten more protective and worried for Sasuke ever since the massacre. She couldn't bear the thought of losing her last child. I'm sure he'll be fine, Mikoto-sama. Itachi and Naruto were out doing C-rank missions shortly after graduating too. And besides, Naruto will be with him, Izumi told Mikoto in an effort to assure her. Mikoto felt a little better knowing Sasuke would be with Naruto. She knew Naruto cared for Sasuke almost as much as he cared for Narumi, and he would never let anything happen to him. So what will you be doing? How long will you be gone? Are you excited for your first mission outside the village? Izumi asked Sasuke. Sasuke couldn't hide his excitement. He nodded eagerly to Izumi's last question. He was finally doing real shinobi work instead of doing people's chores. We'll be escorting some bridge builder man back to his home in Nami no Kuni, and protecting him until he completes his bridge. We're expected to be gone for a month or so, Sasuke informed his mom and the girl he saw as an older sister. Wow! Over a month! Looks like this will be the last time I see you for a while then, huh? Izumi told Sasuke. I'll be leaving for a mission tomorrow too. Why don't I see you off? Izumi offered. Sasuke looked over at his mom, who gave him a small smile and nodded. He agreed to Izumi's offer. After dinner he packed his bag for the mission excitedly, with his mom and Izumi helping him out. At the Hyuga household, the main branch of the Hyuga clan were gathered together as they ate their dinner together. Though they didn't chatter loudly as they ate as many other families did, they still talked about current events or things that were going on. This was the appropriate time to let the clan head know if you were leaving the village for a mission. Hinata politely ate her food as she stole glances of her father, looking for the courage and the right timing to tell him she was leaving for Wave tomorrow. Is there something you wish to tell me? Or is there something on my face? Stop your fidgeting and come out with it, Hayashi told Hinata, noticing her actions without even turning to look at her. Eep! Hinata was surprised at being caught. She gulped nervously, as she tried to muster up the courage to speak to her father. Ota-sama, my T-team has a C-rank mission tomorrow, Hinata squeaked out in a quiet voice. Hayashi didn't even turn around to look at her as he continued to eat. What did I say about your stuttering? Speak confidently. You're trying to inform me, not mumble to yourself. It's not becoming of a Hyuga. Why yes, Ota-sama, Hinata managed to say in a slightly louder voice. She mentally chided herself for stuttering again. Hayashi chewed his food with the manners befitting a proper Hyuga and swallowed before speaking. So what is this mission you were speaking to me of? Where is it, how long will you be gone, and what will you be doing? The mission is in Nami no Kuni. We'll be leaving tomorrow, and we'll be gone for around a month. It's an escort and protection mission, Hinata informed her father. Hayashi continued to eat without looking at her. It was several awkward moments as Hinata sat there wondering if her father heard her. You will not be going, Hayashi finally spoke after thinking. Hinata was not expecting that reaction and looked at her father in surprise, dropping her chopsticks. Ota-sama? Hinata asked, not sure if she heard him properly. I said you will not be going on that mission. You are not ready to leave the safety of the village walls, Hayashi coldly told her. Be but Ota-sama. And my team. They'll be expecting me to be there, Hinata pleaded. Hayashi turned around suddenly to finally look at her with displeasure. I am your father. I said you will not be going, and you will obey, he told her in a low hiss. You are not strong enough to go on such risky missions yet. I will not risk the Byakugan falling into enemy hands because you would rather please your team rather than your own clan. Be but Ota-sama. I've gotten stronger than before. Hinata begged. Hayashi gave her a stern gaze. She was showing some backbone he hadn't seen before. He decided to test her resolve. Fine, spar with your sister after dinner, and if you can convince me, I'll let you go. Hayashi told Hinata. Hi, Otasama. Hinata said quietly. She hated these spars. She couldn't bring herself to hurt her own baby sister, but they always tried to make her. Eventually they began to think Hanabi was stronger than her. Hinata ate the rest of her meal quietly, thinking about her dilemma. Namikaze Uzumaki household after eating a large dinner at Ichiraku's, as they wouldn't be able to have it for at least a month, the siblings returned home to pack for the mission. Narumi was practically bouncing off of the walls in excitement as she grabbed everything she might possibly need, down to the smallest of possibilities. Toothbrush? Check. Sword? Check. Spare kunai and shuriken? Check. Instant ramen? Check. Swimsuit? You never know when you might go swimming. Check. Spare pillow cover? Hey, you might spill some ramen on your main pillow cover. Check. Naruto smiled watching his sister's excitement. He was already done packing. He had pre-packed mission packs sealed into scrolls, sorted into different mission lengths and locations. He grabbed a month-long mission pack for a wet environment. Oniai-chan, do you think I'll need my fuzzy bunny slippers? What am I saying? Of course I'll need them. What will I do if I'm indoors but my feet get cold? How about my shoujo manga, Oniai-chan? Narumi asked as she came out of her room wearing bunny slippers and holding several volumes of the shoujo manga she liked to read with Ino and Hinata. Naruto chuckled and was about to respond when they suddenly heard a gentle knock at their door. You tell me if you think you need them. Naruto told Narumi as he headed to the door to see who it was. He opened the door and found Hinata standing outside, eyes puffy and red from crying. Naruto immediately pulled her in and closed the door. What's wrong, Hinata? He asked with concern visible in his eyes. Hinata sniffled as she tried to calm herself down to speak. I can't go to the M mission tomorrow. Narumi quickly came over, still wearing her bunny slippers on her feet and a sleep mask with a pair of open eyes on it on the top of her head. What do you mean? Is it because you don't want to see that stupid old drunk guy? I'll make sure he behaves. Come on, Hinata. And my Otasama. He said I'm not allowed to go, because I'm too weak. Hinata stammered out quietly in between her sobs. Naruto knelt down in front of Hinata and grabbed her arms near the shoulder to tell her she wasn't weak. He noticed she winced at his touch, and pulled her arms back and rubbed them. He pulled up the sleeves of her jacket, and found multiple bruises. He gritted his teeth. I'm gonna talk to your father, Naruto said with anger visible in his eyes. At the Hyuga household, Hayashi sat in his study, going over some scrolls on clan affairs, when a cadet branch member called for him outside the door. Hayashi-sama? Naruto-sen wishes to speak to you. Hayashi rolled up his scroll and stood up slowly. Tell him I'll be out shortly, he told the cadet branch member as he did so. He had an idea what this was about. He opened the door for the guest reception room and found his daughter's sensei waiting for him with anger in his eyes. Ah, Naruto-san. What do I owe the pleasure of your presence tonight to? Hayashi asked as he took a seat across the table from Naruto. Naruto hated this whole polite facade thing that was going on right now, but tried his best to be civil. Hayashi-san, I'd like to know why you're forbidding my genin from going on a mission given by Hokage-sama. Hayashi ordered a cadet branch member to bring some tea. He then turned around to answer Naruto's question. I forbade my daughter from going on this C-rank mission because she is not ready, he told Naruto politely, but firmly. Who's to say she's not ready? As her sensei, I say she is more than ready, Naruto replied back. Hayashi took the teapot from the cadet branch member and poured himself and Naruto some tea. He took a sip before responding. Naruto-san, do you know what risk a main branch member like Hinata carries when she leaves the safety of the village? She risks harm not just for herself, but for the entire clan. Unlike cadet branch members, main branch members like Hinata aren't simply killed. The Byukugen is highly sought after by everyone, and they'll do anything to make sure they get their supply, if you know what I mean. As such, she has the responsibility to keep her eyes and herself safe for the clan. This shinobi business is not a game, as I am sure you are well aware of. I, as clan head, have deemed her not ready to risk our clan's secrets and Kekkei Genkai for a C-rank mission, which she is taking after only a month after graduating, and 5 D-rank missions. And you tested her to see if she was ready by hurting her? Naruto asked, threatening tone. I'm afraid I'm not sure what you are talking about. Hayashi responded. Don't pretend you don't know about all the bruises she has on her body. Naruto yelled out. Hayashi snorted when he realized what Naruto was talking about. Though that is none of your business, I assure you, that was not inflicted by me. I wanted to see the girl she was speaking of, and had her spar with her sister. Her disgraceful performance has confirmed my assumption that she is not ready. Naruto clenched his fists. You're telling me what was supposed to be a light spar left her with all those bruises? And why would you pit her against her younger sister? You know she would never hurt her. Naruto-san, I'm afraid what we do in this clan is none of your business. If that's all, I'll be asking you to leave. Hayashi told Naruto as he finished his tea. Fine. How you run your clan is none of my business. But I'm not done. I'd like for you to let Hinata go on this mission. Naruto told Hayashi. Hayashi was starting to get annoyed. Have you not heard what I just told you? She is not safe outside the village. Hayashi-san, I'll swear on my life that I'll bring her back safely. Naruto promised Hayashi. And should you fail? Hayashi asked. Naruto paused for a second to think. I'll let you brand me with that damned seal of yours. Hayashi's eyes widened in surprise. The caged bird seal was both a sign of submission and servitude, as well as a practical means to control someone. This basically meant Naruto was offering to become a slave of the Hyuga. Hayashi considered Naruto's proposal briefly. Fine. I'll put her safety in your hands. Should anything happen to her, I'll hold you responsible. Hayashi conceded. Naruto nodded and stood up as he began to leave. Oh, by the way, thank you for the tea. It was excellent. Naruto told Hayashi before disappearing as Shenshin. Hayashi smirked. Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. What an interesting character. He thought to himself. At the village gates, 7:20 am Sasuke and Izumi walked up to the gates together after having breakfast with Mikoto. Sasuke was practically bouncing with excitement, but the excessively large bag on his back that held everything he, Mikoto, and Izumi thought he could possibly need, held him down. He arrived to see Narumi and Hinata, who waved at him and Izumi happily, as they were also excited for their first journey out of the village. Sasuke noticed Hinata's bag was a lot smaller than his, and he rolled his eyes as he recalled how his mom helped him pack. He didn't recall her being so overprotective of Itachi. Then he noticed Narumi didn't have any bag with her. Hey Izumi Ne-chan! Hey Sasuke! You ready to kick some butt on this mission? Narumi asked, her excitement evident in her tone. If you can't already tell by this huge bag that's crushing me, yes, I'm pretty much ready for anything. I feel like if I look hard enough there's a takoyaki griller in there somewhere, in case we run out of money and need to start a street food stand to make money. Sasuke said sarcastically as he rolled his eyes. Oh hush, Sasuke-kun. Izumi said to the complaining boy. We put everything in there to make sure you have everything you need. Then how come your bag is like the size of mine? Sasuke complained. Izumi and the other girls laughed at his complaints. Well, it's because my mission is a simple diplomatic mission to Taki, an allied village. They'll have everything I need. She explained. Narumi laughed at Sasuke's appearance. Ha! You look like a turtle carrying its house. Hinata chuckled as she watched Narumi mimicking a turtle. When she was with her team, it felt like all of her problems were left behind. She loved being on Team 7. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Whatever, Baka. Looks like you didn't even pack anything. Did you forget? Izumi answered for Narumi. Actually, she probably has her stuff sealed up. I wouldn't expect Naruto's sister to do anything less. Narumi puffed out her chest in pride. Yup. Sealed it myself. She pulled out a scroll from her scroll-holding pocket to show it off. Naruto arrived with Tazuna at this moment, Tazuna looking a lot tamer with Naruto, and seemingly sober. He looked like a child who had been scolded by his parents. Looks like you had the same dilemma as Narumi, huh? Naruto chuckled as he asked Sasuke when he saw the massive bag on his back. Or are you moving to another village? Izumi lightly punched Naruto's shoulder. Stop teasing him, Naruto. I guess Mikoto-sama and I got carried away while we were helping him pack. Naruto chuckled as he pulled out 3 scrolls. He tossed them to Sasuke, Hinata, and Izumi. I'm not gonna allow a my team to walk around with backpacks like some civilians. Seal your stuff in these. You can get one too since it looks like you're going on a mission as well, Izumi-chan. Yay, I finally get one of these. I was wondering when you were gonna give me one of these, Naruto-kun. Izumi said as she caught hers. Naruto gave her a smirk. Heh. You should have asked. Didn't know you wanted one. Sasuke unrolled his scroll to see what was so special about this scroll. He saw that the scroll was divided into several sections, each for storing different items, unlike regular storage scrolls which sealed everything in the same place. Izumi read through her scroll categories out loud. Weapons, ninja gear, mission clothes, comfortable clothes, kunai and shuriken, instant food, fresh food, camping equipment, cooking utensils, miscellaneous? Wow, you really thought of everything, didn't you? What's the difference between instant and fresh food? Hinata asked as she looked through hers. Well, instant food is stuff like MREs, nutrition bars, food pills, and stuff like that dash. Naruto explained. And fresh food are things like this. Narumi completed her brother's explanation by unsealing a still hot bowl of Ichiraku's ramen. Amazing. Izumi commented. Well, the seal was originally meant to preserve stuff like fruit, but yes, it works for ramen as well. Naruto explained. Alright, Team 7. I'm gonna give you guys 10 minutes to organize your supplies and seal them into the proper sealing section. I've made each seal different to accommodate whatever it's meant to hold. Naruto helped Tazuna seal his stuff, and soon everyone was ready to go. Alright, everyone. Good luck on your mission. Come back safe. Izumi waved towards Team 7, who waved back as they left for their first C-rank mission. On the road to wave, the team walked in a diamond formation, with Naruto in the front, Sasuke and Narumi at the sides, and Hinata at the back. The client, Tazuna, was at the center. The entourage walked at Tazuna's pace, chatting as they walked, while still keeping an eye out for trouble. Naruto didn't do much talking but did a lot of listening. He wasn't about to let anything happen to his team, who he saw as his little siblings. An hour or so after leaving the village gates, Naruto sensed 2 chakra signatures from a puddle up ahead. He held back a smirk. Amateurs. Really? A puddle? He thought to himself. He casually put his hands in his pocket, where he used one hand to weave through the hand seals for a genjutsu. He cast a subtle genjutsu on the owners of the 2 chakra signatures, as well as his team and Tazuna. He wanted to see how his team would deal with the threat. Hinata periodically activated her Byakugan to scan the area for threats. She activated her Byakugan as she walked by a puddle and saw 2 sources of chakra in it. Narumi sensed killing intent radiating from the puddle as she walked by. Odd. Since when did puddles want to kill people? Sasuke didn't sense anything, but he immediately knew something was wrong with the sight. It hadn't rained for a couple weeks now, and there was a puddle this big in the middle of the road. The 3 genin shared looks, pointing at the puddle with their eyes. The 3 of them looked towards their sensei to see what he thought of it, but he seemed to be oblivious, not even sparing the puddle, or any of them a glance as he walked ahead. They assumed everything was fine by his reaction, but couldn't help but stay a little vigilant at the strange sight. Meanwhile, the real Naruto was off to the side, invisible to practically everyone as he hid himself with his Maisegekyo no Jutsu, hiding with camouflage technique. He was pleased to see their awareness and the way they kept their guard up, despite their sensei's apparent obliviousness. A good shinobi needed to trust their instincts. All of a sudden, 2 ninja burst out of the puddle, each wielding a clawed gauntlet on one hand that was connected by a chain with sharp spikes and blades sticking out of it. They wrapped up the Naruto at the front of the formation quicker than the genin could react, and jumped in opposite directions. The genin's eyes widened in shock as they saw their beloved sensei get torn to shreds and fall to the ground in a bloody heap. 1 down and 4 to go. One of the assailants, who appeared to be a missing nin from Kyuubi, told his partner, who looked very similar to him, only distinguished by their outfits and Hittite, which had 1 horn on one of them, while the other had 2. The 3 genin of Team 7 quickly snapped out of their shock and sprung into action, refusing to be caught flat-footed. Narumi drew her sword in absolute fury after seeing her beloved brother, and only remaining family member, get turned into some minced meat. You! How dare you! She could hardly put her rage into words. Her sword spoke for her instead, as it moved in a blur, catching the 2 Kyuubi missing nin Chunin by surprise. They were, by all means, supposed to be more experienced and skilled than some genin, but Narumi was really laying into them with her ferocious slashes. Gozu! I need some help with this redhead bitch! One of the missing nin called out to his partner as he used his metal gauntlet to try to defend himself from Narumi's relentless assault. The so-called Gozu, however, was in no position to help. "I've got my hands full with this brat, Meizu. What the hell are they feeding genin in Konoha these days?" he yelled out as he tried to fight off an enraged Sasuke who fell upon him like a man possessed. Sasuke used his smaller and more agile frame to weave through Gozu's attacks, and used kunai in both hands to defend and attack at the same time. The chain was becoming a hindrance to the two Chunin, and they decided to snap off the chain in order to gain mobility. Hinata guarded Tazuna as she watched, and she scanned the area for any other potential threats. When she saw none, she decided to help her friends take out their opponents before their advantage of being underestimated disappeared. She charged into Sasuke's opponent, who was closer, and weaved in and out between Sasuke's attacks, delivering her Juken strikes. All of the blocks Gozu thought he made were actually accruing damage as Hinata hit chakra points and nerve clusters. Gozu didn't notice in the heat of the moment, but he was slowing down. Sasuke used the opportunity to step back and fly through the hand seals for his signature jutsu. "Hinata!" he yelled out in warning. Having trained for this maneuver, Hinata delivered one last strike to distract the missing nin, and ducked out as Sasuke yelled out his jutsu. "Gokakyu no Jutsu! Grand Fireball Technique!" A huge ball of fire flew towards Gozu, who tried to jump away. However, when he tried to jump, he found that he was a lot less agile than he normally was, and he was unable to channel chakra to his legs for a chakra-powered jump. He did his best to dodge the fireball, but the size of the attack meant he wasn't able to avoid it completely. He screamed in pain as his left leg and arm received serious burns, and began to swell painfully. Meanwhile, Meizu wasn't having any better of a time. Narumi was like a little red storm of blades. Kiri was renowned for its swordsman, but Meizu hadn't seen anyone Narumi's age with her skill. Each of her strikes that he blocked sent shockwaves through his body, as Narumi put her whole weight into each strike, and carried the momentum as she came for another strike. Instead of slowing down like he expected her to, she slowly became faster and faster, and Meizu began to accumulate cuts all over his body. Even his gauntlet wasn't holding up to the punishment, and small bits of it began to break off. After parrying one of Meizu's strikes, Narumi countered with a slash that cut into Meizu's bicep and thigh. He fell to one knee, incapacitated on two of his limbs. Hinata appeared from behind and delivered 5 rapid strikes to various points on his neck and back that promptly knocked him out. Tazuna stood there in fear, his underwear slightly damper than it was 5 minutes ago, as he watched the kids he disrespected fight with the ferocity of a tiger. In 5 minutes, the two assailants lay at their feet, incapacitated or unconscious. The 3 genin were still running on adrenaline as they huffed to catch their breath from their exertions. They were broken out of their small trance when they heard a slow clap. "Sensei/Nai-chan! You're okay!" the 3 genin shouted out in unison. Even Hinata didn't stutter this time. "Of course I'm okay. You thought those amateurs could take me down? I just stepped aside to give you guys a chance to show me what you can do. And let me tell you, I'm impressed. Flawless teamwork, and decisive and ferocious attacks." He clapped again. "Seriously, well done. Give yourselves a clap. This was your first life or death fight, and you guys dealt with it splendidly. You didn't even let my apparent death throw off your game for too long. These two are known as the Demon Brothers. Chunin level missing nin from Kiri according to my bingo book, and you guys gave them hell. I'm so proud right now." Narumi sheepishly scratched the back of her head, embarrassed at overreacting at her brother's apparent death, though she was proud of her performance. That'll teach them not to mess with her family. The little tricks she picked up as she sparred with Yugao paid dividends as she fought less skilled opponents. Sasuke and Hinata were on cloud 9. They took down 2 Chunin. And they were fresh genin. A little over a month ago, they were still sitting in class at the academy. Sasuke was happy to be praised by someone he looked up to greatly, being acknowledged for his own skill. All that hard work was so worth it. Hinata, too, was elated. Sure, she failed when she fought against her sister Hanabi, but she proved to herself that she wasn't the weakling her father made her out to be. When the time came, she didn't buckle under the pressure like everyone expected her to, but instead she was able to rise to the occasion and play a big role in taking out 2 Chunin. Naruto took out a notepad and wrote down what he saw. "Excellent. Excellent work. I'll make sure this goes into the mission report." Tazuna was just glad the situation was over and he was safe. Guess those little brats were super ninja after all. Even the blind girl. "As pleased as I am with your performance, there's another reason I hid myself. I wanted to see who they were targeting. Was it me? Was it any of you? Why would they target a bunch of no-name genin? It's not like they seemed to know who you were. Tazuna gulped when he heard Naruto's deductions. He hoped Naruto wouldn't figure out the deception. What I saw as a bystander is that they were aiming for Tazuna before being intercepted by you three, Naruto stated as he turned around to look at Tazuna, who had all the color drained from his face. You knew you had ninja after you, didn't you? Naruto asked Tazuna, staring down at him at point-blank distance. Tazuna was unable to meet Naruto's piercing blue eyes, which seemed to dare him to lie. He decided to tell the truth and avoid the pain that he knew would follow if he lied. Why, yes, was all Tazuna was able to say. Then why did you lie to the Hokage? Do you know this is grounds to terminate your contract? Naruto asked Tazuna. Tazuna was desperate, and he fell on his knees. No! Please! I would have paid for a higher rank mission, but I had no money. I scraped together all of the money I could get from my village, and this was all I could get. Please, if this mission fails, my village is doomed. To Naruto, such a threat level was a joke. He was actually glad for some action after 5 errands, D-rank missions, and wanted to continue, especially after seeing what his genin could do. However, he decided to hardball the man to teach him a lesson. I don't care about all that. All I know is that you put my genin in danger by not being honest with them, and lied to us and the Hokage. We can't have our clients think it's okay to lie to us. Sets a bad precedent. Naruto responded coldly. Tazuna's heart sank. If they left him alone here, he would die for certain. As bad as that was, he was more worried for Wave. He was their last hope. With his death, his village would be doomed. His shoulders sagged and his face fell. The 3 genin felt bad for the guy. I mean, they were clearly capable of handling such a threat, right? What was the big deal? The guy looked like he was about to cry. Aw, come on, Nai-chan. Sure, he's a jerk, but look at him. He looks so sad. He said he did it for his village, but he had no money. Maybe he can pay the rest later? Let's continue the mission, please. Please, Nai-chan? I mean, don't you think we're strong enough? Narumi pleaded with her puppy dog look. While it was slightly less effective than it was when she was 7, it was still Naruto's weakness. What do you two think? Do you think we should continue? Naruto asked Sasuke and Hinata. Being the compassionate girl she was, Hinata wanted to help the poor old man who seemed to need their help to save his village. She nodded to show her support in continuing the mission. Sasuke was less compassionate, but he wanted to continue the mission to have more chances to prove himself. He nodded in agreement as well. Fine. Since my genin seemed to have a weak spot for you, I'll let it slide this one time, and continue the mission. Tazuna perked up, and his face lit up. But you better pay up the difference when you get the money later, you got that? Naruto threatened, and Tazuna nodded his head rapidly. Now that's settled, time to get some information out of these two. Sasuke, tie these two up with your ninja wire. Naruto ordered Sasuke, and Sasuke went straight to work. Shortly after, Meizu and Gozu were bound and propped up against a tree. Alright. You guys stay back. I'm gonna interrogate them, and it might not be pretty. Naruto warned as he stepped up to the 2 bound missing nin. He slapped both of them awake. Enjoyed your beauty sleep? Gozu and Meizu looked up to see a tall blonde man looking down at them with his arms crossed. They were shocked. They thought they had killed him. You! But we killed you! Meizu stammered out. Naruto grabbed his stomach and laughed violently. The 3 genin watched him laugh for such a long time that it soon became awkward. Naruto had tears streaming down his face. You thought you killed me? You guys got beaten by 3 genin. They were still in school not 2 months ago. The 2 chunin looked down in shame when they heard that. Naruto wiped the tears from his eyes. Ah man. That was a good one. Anyway, I want you guys to tell me who sent you. He asked them casually. Gozu spit on his face. Go to hell. We're not telling you anything. Naruto nonchalantly wiped the spit from his face, before he slapped Gozu with a slap that would make Tsunade proud. In other words, he slapped the shit out of him. Gozu was sent flying a short distance away. He dragged Gozu's unconscious body back to the tree Meizu was still propped up against. Meizu kept his mouth shut. Naruto pulled out a small towel and put it over Gozu's face. He then pulled out his canteen and began to pour water over his face. Gozu woke up with a gasp, but couldn't breathe, until Naruto took the wet towel off of his face. Gozu gasped to catch his breath. Now that we're all awake again, let's cooperate with each other. Otherwise, some of us might get hurt. Why not be civil? No more spitting on each other's faces. How does that sound? Naruto asked Meizu and Gozu, who nervously nodded. The blond man in front of them seemed slightly unhinged with his carefree and nonchalant attitude mixed with his spontaneous violence. Good. Now let me ask you again. Who sent you? Naruto asked. I'm sorry, but we can't tell you, Meizu said in a much more civil tone this time. Naruto nodded as if he understood their position, before he began to flip through some hand seals, and Gozu saw Meizu's leg get engulfed in flames as he screamed. Meanwhile, the genin watching saw Naruto go through some hand seals and one of the two tied-up ninja began to scream like he was on fire. Eh? What's going on? He didn't even do anything to them? Are they just scared? Narumi asked. Genjutsu, Sasuke replied. He must have them believe that he's hurting them, even though he didn't do anything to them physically. The three shivered at the thought. Please! Stop! Gozu begged as he watched his brother's leg melt. Meizu passed out from the pain, but he continued to spasm. He could take torture on himself to a degree, but he couldn't bear to see his brother go through so much pain. Naruto's face remained unchanged as he watched Meizu's leg turn to ashes. If you don't want me to burn the rest of him, piece by piece, I suggest you tell me what I want to know. Gozu couldn't take it anymore. Fine. We were sent by Zabuza, who was hired by Gato to kill Tazuna. Zabuza? As in one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist? And Gato, as in one of the richest people alive? Naruto asked in surprise. Why would Gato hire someone like Zabuza to take out a small fry like Tazuna? Yes. It's them. I don't know why he chose Zabuza, but Gato wants Tazuna dead because the bridge he's building threatens his trading monopoly in wave and his control over the country. I swear. That's all I know. Please let my brother live, Gozu begged. Gato and Zabuza, huh? Naruto pondered. He released them from their genjutsu, and Gozu was surprised to see Meizu was unharmed. Well, besides for the wounds he got while fighting Narumi. Well, this is getting more interesting, Naruto said with a wicked grin that unsettled Gozu. When Naruto unsealed his sword, Gozu thought this was the end. Naruto swung the sword down, and Gozu closed his eyes in fear. When he opened his eyes, he saw that Naruto had cut his binds. He looked up at Naruto in confusion as he slowly shook his brother awake. Meizu woke up confused, seeing his leg was still there. Was that a genjutsu? You're letting us go? Gozu asked in confusion. Naruto nodded. I need you to deliver a message to Zabuza for me. The two missing nin nodded. What should we tell him? Naruto gave them a smirk that chilled their bones. Tell him the fox of Konoha has left his den. Chapter 22, Mission to Wave Part 2. On the road to Wave. Team 7 watched the demon brothers scramble off into the distance, stumbling over themselves to run away from Naruto before he changed his mind. Naruto-sensei, do you think it was a good idea letting them go? What if it comes back to bite us? Now they know who they're gonna be dealing with, and what we can do. Sasuke asked in concern. Team 7 had only been able to defeat them because of all of the unknowns and an element of surprise, and now the demon brothers were taking information back to the enemy. Naruto gave him a smile of approval. I like the way you're thinking. Information is the greatest asset in our profession, and really any other as well. That's why I always tell you guys to not show all your cards to your opponent, and to always have a few tricks or trump cards hidden up your sleeve. Then why did we let them go? Wouldn't it have been better if, we killed them? Sasuke asked his sensei. Naruto chuckled a little at Sasuke's question. Now. No need to be so bloodthirsty. I'm sure we'll get plenty of action down the road, Naruto told the Uchiha Genin. Besides, it's a gamble I'm willing to make that might make things a lot easier for us if things go as I expect. Naruto ordered his team back into formation, as they prepared to get back on the move. He turned around and looked Tazuna straight in the eye. From now on, I want you to be completely honest with us. No more lies or hiding anything from us. If anything happens to us from not having the information we need, or if I find out you lied to us. Naruto didn't need to finish that sentence. His look did it for him. Tazuna felt his blood run cold as he gazed into Naruto's icy blue eyes that promised him pain of the likes he never experienced before. He gulped nervously and nodded. Good. I'm glad we understand each other," Naruto told Tazuna as he turned around and got back to his position at the head of their diamond escorting formation. "Alright, Team 7, let's get this show back on the road." The journey went on a lot more smoothly after that, and now that he saw what his protectors could do, Tazuna had a lot more faith in them, and was more relaxed and cooperative. The whole party was in high spirits after the smooth handling of the incident, and the genin were less stiff and a lot more confident than they were when the mission started. They kept their guard up, however, now that they knew danger could strike from anywhere, at any time. Naruto was glad he had trained his genin properly on escort mission protocols, when he saw how professionally they handled themselves. Sure, they still continued their banter and even chatted with Tazuna to keep the trip from being boring, but he could see the vigilance in their eyes. Hours later, the sun started to set. Naruto found a decent place to camp for the night in a small clearing in the woods nearby that would hide them from view from the road, yet was wide enough to let them see when enemies approached them, and not be taken off guard. "Alright, Team 7. We'll be camping here for the night. Hinata and Narumi will be sharing a tent, and me and Sasuke will share one as well. Tazuna-san will get his own tent." He ordered his genin to set up camp while he went off a little further, and began to place seals on nearby trees to give them an early warning system, and set up traps and other security measures as well. When he came back, the tents were set up, and Sasuke had managed to start a small fire with the wood the girls managed to gather. Tazuna used his skills and tools as a builder to put together some makeshift furniture, such as a few logs that were cut and carved to serve as a table and some stools they could sit on. "Oh my, what a nice camp," Naruto commented as he sat down on one of the roughly carved log stools. "You'd think we were out here to camp for fun," Naruto commented to his team as he pulled out a scroll and began to unpack some basic ingredients to make some stew for dinner. Almost an hour later, they were seated around a large split log that was elevated on some rocks to serve as a table, enjoying Naruto's cooking. "So, we'll be arriving at a small port village, where we'll be getting a boat to ferry us over to Wave, sometime in the afternoon tomorrow," Naruto told his team as they ate. "Tazuna, do you know anybody who would be willing to ferry us? Not many people sail to Wave anymore ever since Gato took over," Tazuna told Team 7. "It'll be difficult finding people who are willing to ferry us over, but I think I might know a guy," he told Naruto. "Is this Gato guy that scary? I mean, what does he do?" Narumi asked the old man. The other two genin looked at Tazuna to hear his answer as well, as they were also wondering what was so bad about this Gato fellow. "Well, he's one of the 3 richest people on this continent. Which means he's richer than most daimyos. On the surface, one might think he makes his money off of his shipping company, and he does indeed make a lot from it. However, he uses the company as a front to also smuggle and ship all sorts of contraband, which ranges from weapons, drugs, and even slaves, which he makes even more from," Tazuna explained, much to the shock of Team 7's genin. "He uses his money to hire thugs and missing nin to scare people into selling their businesses or properties, and in Wave, he bought all of the fishing and shipping companies, which were the lifeblood of our village. He uses this monopoly to charge exorbitant prices, and the inflation in our town has reduced us into bartering again. As if it wasn't bad enough that we can't make a living anymore, he sends his thugs to collect what he calls protection fees. And the thugs who come to collect take their own cut as well, leaving us impoverished. In fact, the thugs run free in our town, and do whatever they want and take whatever they want, including people. If anyone tries to fight back or protests, they're executed publicly." The genin were speechless. How could someone be so evil and cruel? That's terrible. How could anyone be so mean and evil? Narumi yelled out in disbelief. The world is a terrible and dangerous place. The strong take advantage of the weak, whether it's people or villages or even nations. It's the way of this world. If you want to change this world, you'd have to be stronger than the world. That's why nothing ever changes. Naruto told his genin. That's awful. Hinata sighed out. Is this truly the world that she lived in? Would she ever be strong enough to change her clan? She wondered if she would instead be one of the people that would be taken advantage of. Naruto noticed the depressing atmosphere settling over everyone. We might not be able to change the whole world, but we can still make a difference to the people around us though. If we become strong enough, we can protect the people who are precious to us. We can make the world around us a little better if we put in the work and effort to try to make a difference. Naruto told his team in an effort to encourage them. That's why I work you guys so hard. You guys have so much potential, both in strength but also in position. Hinata and Sasuke will be clan heads someday, and you will need power if you want to make any changes. You can't afford to be lazy. If you want to go laze around and procrastinate, you might as well quit being a shinobi right now. Naruto told his team. Narumi chuckled at that last statement. Oh man, Shikamaru should have been here to hear that. The Konoha shinobi all laughed, while Tazuna wondered who this Shikamaru was. The Nara clan might be famous for being lazy, but don't ever think they're weak. I don't always know what they're hiding behind that lazy expression of theirs, but you'd be hard-pressed to catch them off guard. Naruto told his team. Anyway, we can talk more about that some other time. Now that we finished eating, we should get some sleep, since we'll be leaving early in the morning tomorrow. We'll take turns on sentry duty for 2 hours each. Sasuke, take the first shift. Narumi will go next, then Hinata, and I'll take the last shift. The traveling party soon settled in for the night. Unbeknownst to the genin, Naruto had made several shadow clones and hid them in the trees to keep an extra eye out just in case. Throughout the night, they would occasionally make some noise to see if the genin were staying alert, and see if they would keep protocol. He wasn't sure if it was because of his speech earlier, or because of their encounter with the demon brothers earlier in the day, but Naruto was happy and proud to see his team take guard duty seriously. Towards the end of Naruto's shift, around 5:30 in the morning, he created a shadow clone to slowly start packing and clearing the area so they could get back on the road as soon as possible. The team soon got up, got ready for the day, and by 6:30, had a light breakfast of leftovers and were back on the road. There were no more incidents as the team traveled that day, and they were able to make it to the small port town on the coast near Wave in good time, arriving around 3 in the afternoon, earlier than they expected. Let's see now, his house should be right around here. Tazuna directed the team to his connection in the town, and knocked on the door. Who is Dash? Oh hey. It's you, Tazuna. Been a while. What can I do for you? Tazuna's friend greeted him as he opened the door. Hey there, old friend. Good to see ya. The two old men greeted each other. I was wondering if you could get me a ride to Wave. Tazuna asked. Tazuna's friend's face suddenly became serious. You want me to take you back to that shithole? People are clamoring to leave if anything. Besides, it's dangerous. Why would you risk the safety of both of us for a meaningless endeavor? Tazuna's usually drunk face showed his uncharacteristically steely resolve. I'm Wave's last hope. If this bridge to save our village doesn't get built, our village is doomed. That's why I hired these super ninja to protect me. Tazuna's face brightened up as he introduced his guard detail. The elderly ferryman looked Team 7 up and down. Fine. I can give you a ride, but you'll have to follow my rules. Oh, don't worry about us. We're quite good at following instructions, Fairy-san. Naruto told the old man. The travelers boarded the old man's rickety old boat, and started to head for Wave, slowly rowed over by the man. The boat journey was taking longer than expected, and Narumi, who wasn't the most patient, started to get annoyed, especially since they all had to be quiet. Ugh! This is so slow. Why can't we just use the motor? We would have been there an hour ago. Narumi complained to her friends. SHHHHH. The reason we're not using the motor is the same reason I told you guys to stay quiet. We don't want Gato's thugs to know we're coming. The old man scolded Narumi in a harsh whisper. Naruto had tried to comply with the old man's instructions, but he began to find this tedious. This was too inefficient for his liking. He slapped on a silencing seal on the boat, forming an invisible bubble around them that blocked all the sounds from the boat. I've just placed a silencing seal on the boat like I should have done hours ago. No one should be able to hear anything. The old man was stunned. You can do something like that? Naruto just gave him a grin in response. Anyway, now that we got that figured out, let's figure out how to get there faster. The old ferryman went over to turn on the motor, but Naruto cut him off. Allow me. Everyone hold on tight. Futon Tappa, wind release breakthrough. Naruto used his wind jutsu to propel the boat faster than the old man had ever gone on his boat before, and the boat even skipped over the surface of the water at certain points. The passengers held on for their lives. In a matter of a few minutes, they had reached Wave, and Team 7 and their client left the old ferryman bewildered as he rode back home. Should have done that from the beginning. Narumi whispered to Sasuke and Hinata, and Sasuke nodded in agreement. On Wave, on the road to Tazuna's house, Team 7 and Tazuna made their way towards Tazuna's house, their accommodation for the duration of the mission. Meanwhile, two pairs of eyes were hidden in the branches of some trees at a distance, watching the 5 travelers, as they looked for the right timing for an ambush. Naruto sensed 2 chakra signatures from some trees which were at a distance, but didn't turn his head or do anything that let anyone know he had detected enemies. He instead subtly directed his killing intent towards the larger and more dangerous feeling chakra signature. The older shinobi in hiding had his hand raised, ready to signal his junior partner to release the rabbit for the kawarimi. He suddenly felt the dangerous killing intent directed at him, and his body froze, as he felt a bit of fear that he hadn't felt in a long time. The younger shinobi waited for the signal as their target came close to the ambush point, but it wasn't coming. Zabuza-sama? Should I release the rabbit? The junior shinobi asked. Zabuza put his arm back down as he contemplated the demon brother's warning. Was this Fox of Konoha referring to the Fox ANBU of Konoha? Could the blonde man leading the party be Fox of the legendary ANBU team known outside of Konoha as the Ghost Squad? Zabuza-sama? Zabuza's accomplice asked once again for confirmation. Zabuza shook his head. We'll observe them more and gather more information before we strike. Let's get out of here, Haku. Haku looked at Zabuza, slightly surprised. Haku had never seen Zabuza back out of a fight before. However, it was Zabuza's call to make, so the two silently pulled out of the ambush. Naruto sensed the 2 chakra signatures get further and further away. His genin looked at him strangely when they saw him break out into a smirk out of nowhere. Heh. Smart move, Zabuza. Naruto thought to himself. Tazuna's house. Tazuna knocked on the door of his house, and was answered by a woman's voice. Who is it? It's me, Tsunami. Tazuna. I'm back from Konoha. Tazuna replied back. The door opened, revealing a fairly pretty black-haired woman who appeared to be in her early 30s. Oh, Ta-san. You've returned. Tsunami greeted her father with a hug. Yup. All thanks to these super ninja that I've hired from Konoha. They're gonna protect me and the workers while we build the bridge. Tazuna told his daughter. Thank you for bringing my father back home safely. Please come inside. You're just in time for dinner. Tsunami invited Team 7 inside. Let me cook a little more food. I wasn't expecting guests. Please, take a seat and get comfortable. Tsunami told her guests. You can put your stuff. Where are your things? Tsunami asked, wondering where all their luggage was. Don't worry, Tsunami-san. We've got all our things sealed up in our storage scrolls. Naruto told Tsunami. She didn't have any idea what he was talking about, but she just smiled and nodded politely and went back to the kitchen to make food for 5 more people. Roughly half an hour later, the food was ready, and everyone gathered around the table to eat. Inari. Come down for dinner. Tsunami called out as she took her seat. The boy in question came down soon, and looked at the guests with a cold gaze. Narumi could sense the unease and negative emotions coming off from the boy, but stayed quiet. They all began to eat, and the team from Konoha was surprised at how delicious the food was. Everyone had a good time talking and getting to know each other. Everyone but Inari. He looked at everyone chatting happily, as if nothing was wrong, and began to get angry. Who did these people think they were? And where did they think they were? Showing up out of nowhere and acting like they haven't got a worry in their life, and everything was fine outside. None of them even know what it's like to face real loss. I bet they all come from happy families where everything is just dandy. Inari angrily thought to himself. He couldn't take it anymore. Shut up! Everyone went quiet and turned to look at him. All of you acting like nothing's wrong, smiling and laughing as if you don't have a single worry in the world. It's disgusting. People are out here suffering. What would you Konoha people know anything about that anyway? You guys come from one of the big villages where I bet everything is fine. I bet you guys all have families with no problems, and everyone gets along just fine. You guys don't know anything, the boy yelled out. Inari. These people are here to help us. They're trying to help us save the village. Tsunami scolded Inari. What's the point? Gato has an army behind him. They're just gonna die anyway, Inari stated. Inari. Tsunami yelled out, trying to scold him. Everyone dies. Whether you die in a fight, die of old age, or die by public execution, Naruto interjected. But all I know is I'd rather die protecting what's important to me, rather than live pathetically, complaining about how terrible the world is while not doing anything about it, like a whiny little brat. Inari was stunned at Naruto's response. No one had talked to him like that before. All your whining is giving me a headache, so why don't you shut up and go to your room and complain under your blanket, where all the people who want to hear your complaints will be? Naruto told Inari in a cold voice, and Inari ran back to his room in tears. Oni-chan, Narumi punched her brother in the shoulder. You didn't have to be so mean. Fine. I'm sorry, Tsunami-san. I suppose I was a little harsh on the boy. I just didn't appreciate him talking to us disrespectfully, while knowing nothing about us. I'll apologize to him tomorrow, Naruto told Tsunami as he scratched the back of his head. It's alright. I can't say he didn't have it coming. He used to be a bright and happy boy, but he's changed ever since Gato had my husband Kaiza executed publicly for standing up to him, Tsunami told her guest sadly. Naruto felt bad when he heard that. Shoot. Sorry about that. I'm not always the best when it comes to people, Naruto told Tsunami. I'll try to patch things up tomorrow when he's calmed down. I'll go talk to him, sensei. Hinata volunteered surprisingly. She hated seeing people get hurt like that, and she felt bad for the young boy. Hinata headed upstairs and knocked on Inari's room. Can I come in, Inari-kun? Hinata asked politely. No. Go away, was the answer to her question. All right. I'll sit outside then, Hinata said softly as she hugged her knees and sat against the door. I hope you don't take what my sensei said too harshly. He's actually a very kind person usually. He's a jerk. He would never understand what it's like to lose a parent and live like this. Inari yelled out from his bed. You're wrong, Inari-kun. He would understand better than anyone. He and Narumi-chan are siblings, and their parents were killed on the day Narumi was born. Sensei had to raise Narumi by himself ever since he was 8 years old, Hinata explained. Inari was shocked. He was 8 years old right now. He couldn't imagine raising a baby by himself. He couldn't even take care of himself. You know, our lives aren't perfect. Most of Sasuke-kun's family was killed in a single night. My mother also died giving birth to my sister. A tear rolled down her cheek as she remembered her mother. The door opened up, and Inari came out looking a little calmer than before. Hinata gave him a smile. My sensei's a big believer of taking our responsibility. He didn't say it in the kindest way, but I'm sure he wanted to tell you not to give up. Inari stared at the floor silently, but Hinata knew he heard what she said. She gave him another smile and headed back down. Good night, Inari-kun. Hope you feel better tomorrow. When Hinata came back down, Narumi elbowed Naruto in the stomach. Geez, and Ai-chan. You have Hinata-chan cleaning up after your mess now? Naruto scratched the back of his head sheepishly, causing Hinata and Sasuke to laugh. Over the next few days, Team 7 fell into the schedule of protecting Tazuna and his builders as they worked on the bridge, starting from 8 to 5. From 5 p.m. until dinner, and sometimes after dinner, they would train, working on their elemental mastery and chakra control and building their reserves. Naruto also had them spar every day in order to keep them sharp. Zabuza spied on them during the day, trying to learn more about them after hearing how the demon brothers were defeated by mere genin. But when he tried to spy on their training, he would find himself on the other side of a barrier that Naruto had put up to protect their privacy. He had heard rumors that Fox had been skilled with seals, and when he saw one of the intricate sealing tags that were used to erect the barrier, he knew that Naruto was Fox. Shit! This couldn't get any worse, Zabuza thought to himself as he slammed his fists on the table back in his hideout. If the rumors are correct, he's supposed to be an S-rank ninja, who is skilled in all of the ninja arts. Haku watched Zabuza with concern. Who was Fox that it would bother him so much? Ever since the demon brothers came back he had been more brooding than usual. Meanwhile, a certain blonde jonin of Konoha was doing some reconnaissance of his own. After seeing the deplorable state of Wave that even exceeded what he expected, he decided something needed to be done. Gato needed to go. The genin of Team 7 were left alone for the night when Naruto left, and were eating dinner after training. Inari had been watching them train for some time now, climbing trees with their feet, trying to light a light bulb with their hands, and other strange exercises. The only thing that made sense to him was the sparring, and even that didn't give him much to believe in. He was in his bed thinking about what Hinata had told him a few nights ago, and that reminded him of how Kaiza, a hero who had previously saved their village from flooding, stood up to Gato for his village. He remembered how hopeless he felt when he saw his hero get his arms lopped off in public, and hung in the village square, only to have his corpse tossed unceremoniously in an unmarked grave at sea. It was all for nothing. His death changed nothing. He was angry when he thought about how these foreigners just came to his village, thinking they could make a difference. What made them so special? Because they do that strange training? Did they think they were better than Kaiser? He heard laughter downstairs, and it made him mad again. When he went downstairs, he saw the three genin laughing and talking about their training. You guys think you can just waltz in here and think you'll make all the difference in the world? You think those strange exercises will help you? Why do you try so hard anyway? Inari yelled at the three genin. We're training hard so we can help ya. We're trying to help save this village. Narumi yelled back. You think you're so special, don't you? Like you're some kind of hero or something. Let me tell you, heroes are stupid. They think their sacrifice means something, but at the end of the day, nothing changes, and their sacrifices are meaningless. Inari fired back. You take that back. The world would be a much worse place if there were no heroes. Narumi said defensively, thinking about her parents' legacy. Whatever. All heroes do is die anyway, leaving their families to fend for themselves. They're selfish and stupid. Nobody remembers them after they die anyway. Inari stormed off back to his room after that. Narumi was furious. She stormed out the house. Hinata frowned. Did her talk with Inari completely fail in making him sympathize with them? Sasuke ran out after Narumi, concerned about what she was going to do. Narumi had stormed off quite a distance into the surrounding woods. She needed to get away for a second. She pulled out her sword and began going through her sword katas to blow off some steam. When Sasuke found Narumi, she was swinging her sword angrily. Narumi! What the heck? What's wrong? Why did you let a little boy get in your head like that? Sasuke asked. It's just, that kid. Ugh. He's so infuriating. Acts like a know-it-all when he actually doesn't know anything. And since he's the client's family, I can't bop him in the head or anything. Narumi screamed out in frustration. It was his comments on heroes that set you off, wasn't it? Why does that bother you so much? Sasuke asked Narumi. Because, I don't know. I guess it's because it felt like he made it sound like my parents sacrificed themselves in vain. Because they died, Naruto and Ai-chan has to sacrifice for me. He has no life outside of work, and his only real friend in the village right now is Izumi-ne-chan. Narumi poured out her thoughts to her closest friend. Maybe if they decided to be more selfish and only care about their family, if only they didn't decide to be heroes, then I would have been able to meet them. Then maybe I wouldn't be such a burden to Ai-chan and he could be happy. Sasuke was surprised at Narumi's inner feelings. She usually portrayed herself as a happy-go-lucky person, who was passionate, showing anger and happiness in extremes. However, he hadn't known she had been harboring these kinds of thoughts deep inside. Don't be stupid, Narumi. Naruto and Ai-san doesn't think of you as a burden. And if your parents didn't sacrifice themselves, the whole village would have been destroyed. Everyone in Konoha owes your parents, Sasuke said in order to make Narumi feel better. But what does that mean for the people they left behind? Everyone says they're heroes, but really, nothing is done for their families. They're basically forgotten. What's the point of trying so hard to help people, if in the end, they end up forgetting about you? Narumi asked. Sasuke didn't really know how to respond, as he had never given the matter much thought. To be honest, I'm not sure, Sasuke admitted. But I don't think they, or any hero, does what they do for recognition anyway. How the people react to their act of heroism doesn't really matter. Then what matters? Narumi asked. Sasuke thought about it for a second. I'm not sure, but I guess they do what they think is right. Anyone who is willing to risk their lives to do what they think is right, no matter how difficult of a choice they have to make, deserves to be respected if you asked me, Sasuke said ironically, not knowing that was exactly what the person he hated the most did. Besides, who cares what a dumb little kid thinks? Forget about him. If you asked me, heroes are awesome. You think so? How come? Narumi asked, curious to hear what he thought. Don't tell him, but my biggest hero is actually your brother. He fought against my traitorous brother and almost got killed trying to save me and my mother. If heroes didn't exist, then neither would me or my mom. Or anyone in my clan. Narumi was surprised. She had never thought about it that way. It doesn't matter if they get remembered or not, but their actions affect the lives of the people they help forever. And that's pretty cool if you asked me, Sasuke stated. Anyway, I'm gonna head back in. I forgot to grab my jacket, and I'm not swinging around a huge chunk of metal to warm me up. Sasuke headed back in afterwards. Narumi's mind was filled with all kinds of thoughts, and it was giving her a headache. She wasn't the one for much philosophical thinking anyway. She decided to continue her extra bit of training to clear her head. She formed a few shadow clones, and had them throw rocks at her, as she tried to dodge it or parry it with her blade. She trained late into the night until exhaustion kicked in. She decided to catch her breath under a tree, but she soon dozed off to sleep. Chapter 23, Mission to Wave Part 3. Haku had come out late at night to not be seen by anyone. The woods had some medicinal herbs he needed to make some salves for the demon brother's injuries. Haku was surprised to see a red-headed girl lying under a tree, sleeping as she hugged a sword, at the spot he was planning on picking the herbs. He quickly realized it was one of the targets from earlier. Probably the one who gave Meizu all of those cuts. Haku slowly crept up on Narumi, as he contemplated what to do. I should just get rid of her now and spare Zabuza-sama the trouble. Haku thought to himself as he formed the Saban out of ice. He hated hurting people, but knew it was something he had to do. He forced himself to move the sharp needle of ice closer to her throat. Nai-chan. I'm sorry. I wish I wasn't a burden to you. Narumi mumbled out in her sleep. Haku froze when he heard that. It reminded him of himself. He couldn't bring himself to kill the young girl outside of battle, cruelly assassinating the poor girl as she slept. He didn't have that side in him. He made his ice Saban disappear. Haku shook the girl awake. What happened? Narumi said as she woke up from her sleep. Haku giggled. I'd like to ask you the same thing. I found you sleeping out here in the woods. It's cold out. You shouldn't be sleeping here. Narumi scratched the back of her head. Right. Guess I must have dozed off after training. Haku pointed at Narumi's sword. Are you a samurai or ninja? Why are you training so hard? I'm a kunoichi. I was training out here, so I can become stronger, I guess. Narumi answered. You already look strong enough to me. Tell me, what do you think makes a person strong? Haku asked. Hard work. Narumi replied, unsure what Haku was asking. Haku giggled again. I meant what motivates someone to be strong. To go beyond their limits and show their real strength. Oh. I guess if you have a dream you want to accomplish you'll show that kind of strength, Narumi replied. I see. So, what is your dream? Haku asked. My dream? My dream is to become the Hokage. And to protect those that I care about, and to make the world a better place. Narumi declared. Though the person speaking to her was a complete stranger, she didn't sense any negative emotions, and guessed it would be fine telling her these things. Haku gave her a smile. I see. That is an admirable dream. I believe a person becomes truly strong when they want to protect someone precious to them. I'm certain you'll become very strong one day. Narumi gave her a big smile. Thanks. She then realized she didn't even know the person's name, and what she was doing out at this time. I just realized we didn't even introduce ourselves, and here we are talking about dreams and all. Narumi chuckled. Hi. I'm Narumi. What's your name? Haku giggled again. He was enjoying her bubbly personality. I'm Haku. It's nice to meet you, Narumi-san. Please. Just call me Narumi. I don't really like all that formal stuff. Anyway, what are you doing out here at this time? It's pretty late. I was trying to pick some medicinal herbs to treat some people. Haku replied. Really? That's really nice of you. Are they the precious people you were talking about earlier? Narumi asked. Haku stopped to think for a minute. The demon brothers weren't really people he considered precious of the top of his mind like Zabuza was, but now that he thought about it, they had been with him and Zabuza for quite a while now. I guess so. Never really thought of them that way, but I guess they could be. Cool. Mind if I help you? Narumi offered. Haku giggled again. Not at all. I'd actually appreciate it. The two spent some time picking the herbs in a comfortable silence, talking to each other every once in a while. They had only just met, but they just felt comfortable around each other. I think that's enough for now. I'll be heading back now. Thanks, Narumi. Haku said to Narumi. No problem. Us girls gotta help each other out when we can, am I right? Narumi replied. Haku froze when Narumi said that. I'm actually a boy. Haku told Narumi. Narumi just gave him a smirk. Right. And I'm a tree. I know you're lying, Haku. I know a girl when I see one. Haku blushed. I'm serious. I'm a boy. Oh yeah? Prove it. Narumi said mischievously. Show me any proof that you're a boy. What? Haku froze. He couldn't prove it, because Haku was actually a girl. She tried to disguise herself as a boy to not be looked down on and to keep perverts away, but her pretty features made it hard to fool anyone. How did you know? Narumi laughed in victory. Of course you're a girl. I've never seen a boy as pretty as you. Besides, boys don't giggle like you do, you know. Maybe you should practice your boy laugh if you want to trick anyone. Haku stood there in silence. Crap. Please don't tell anyone. Haku asked Narumi. Of course. Your secret is safe with me, Haku-kun. Narumi responded with a mischievous grin. Though I doubt many people will fall for your disguise. I really must be leaving now. It'll be morning in a few hours. Haku told Narumi. Right. I need to get back too. My Nai-chan must be getting worried about me. It was nice meeting you, Haku-chan. If you're here for a while, we should hang out sometime. Narumi offered. I'd like that, Haku confessed. She hadn't had any friends that were close to her in age before, as she stayed on the move with Zabuza. Great! Guess we're friends now. Anyway, I'll come here after dinner every day to train. If you have time, you should come. I'll introduce you to my friends, Narumi offered. Haku smiled at her offer. She nodded in acceptance. The two girls headed off in their respective directions. A third person saw the whole scene and smiled. A mop of blonde hair trailed both girls, all whilst hiding their presence. Naruto had come back from his reconnaissance, and found his sister missing, and Sasuke told her where she was. He had arrived on the scene when Haku formed a saban of ice to kill Narumi. He was about to intervene, but Haku changed her mind. Naruto decided to stay hidden and observe their interaction, and was interested in what he saw. He formed a shadow clone to trail the girl and see if she would lead him to Zabuza. He had recognized her chakra signature from before after all. Haku, is it? So you're one of the last survivors of the Yuki clan, huh? I wonder how these events will affect the confrontation to come. How interesting. The clone thought to itself as Haku arrived at her hideout, before it disappeared in a puff of smoke. At Zabuza's hideout, the next day Gato angrily stormed into Zabuza's hideout, flanked by his bodyguards, Zora and Waraji, two former samurai trainees turned thug. Well? Any explanations as to why Tazuna is still alive? I paid you good money for this, Gato demanded. He's gone and hired ninja of his own, Gato. Strong ones. I'm waiting for these two to heal so I can have some backup. Zabuza replied as he pointed at Meizu and Gozu, who were wrapped in bandages after being treated by Haku. Humph. Excuses. Either way, I want him dead soon. Otherwise, I'll get someone else who can do the job, Gato threatened. Zora! Waraji! Let's go! The three turned around to leave. Demon of the miss my ass, he's too scared to do the job. Pathetic. Gato quietly mumbled to himself, when a massive sword sliced the tree next to him in half. Zabuza! What is the meaning of this? Gato stammered out in fear. I'll get that job done when I'm ready, Zabuza told Gato. And if I hear you threatening me again, it won't be a tree I'm chopping down, Zabuza warned Gato as he held up the impossibly massive blade with one hand. Now get out of my sight! Gato and his bodyguard scrambled away, tripping over themselves in fear. Zabuza watched the cowards run away. Heh. Still got it, he thought to himself. Days later, at the bridge, Tazuna and his crew were working on the bridge, making good progress. If this continued, they'd be able to complete the bridge in a couple weeks. It was looking like a day like any other, another busy day of working on the bridge, when a thick mist began to roll in towards the bridge. Naruto smirked. So it begins, he thought to himself. The silhouettes of 4 figures appeared in the mist, before Naruto decided to ruin their entrance with the jutsu of his own. Futon Tappa! Wind release breakthrough. The mist was blown away by his stronger-than-it-should-be wind jutsu, revealing Zabuza, the demon brothers, and a shorter shinobi wearing the Kiri Hunter Nin mask. So you finally decide to show up. I was beginning to worry you would never come, Naruto shouted out to Zabuza. Zabuza pointed his massive blade, the Kubikuribocho, Executioner's Blade, one of the 7 legendary swords of Kyuubi, and Naruto. Are you ANBU Fox of Konoha's Ghost Squad? Zabuza asked. There was a tense silence before Naruto broke out into laughter. Ghost Squad? Ha! Now that's an awesome name! Who's supposed to be on this Ghost Squad? Naruto asked. Zabuza considered not answering before deciding to indulge him. You know what I'm talking about. The team with Dog, Crow, Fox, and the other dog. Naruto broke out into laughter again. Man, the ANBU really needed to design better masks. People were getting confused these days. He decided to tease Tenzo and Kakashi about this when he got back. Maybe I am. Why do you want to know? Naruto responded once he got all the laughs out of his system. Zabuza was now sure of 3 things. First, this was indeed Fox. Second, he could use at least 2 elements, from what he heard and just now saw. Third, Zabuza stood no chance in an all-out fight. He decided to take a different approach to give him better odds. He had heard that Fox was a master swordsman. Now that was intriguing. Being a master swordsman himself, he was dying to see how Fox's skills added up. He was going to challenge Fox to a swords-only duel. I hear you're a master swordsman. Is this true? Zabuza asked. Geez, you're gonna make me blush. Naruto replied in a joking tone. I mean, I don't want to say it with my own mouth, but I guess I'm not too shabby. No need to be modest. Tales of your skills have reached my ears. As one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, I challenge you to a duel as swordsman. Kenjutsu only. If you win, we'll leave. At least the rest of my team. If I win, I'll let the rest of your team leave if you die. What do you say? Zabuza proposed. Naruto's genin looked at Naruto nervously, wondering what he was going to do. Now that there were 4 enemies, one of them a member of the freaking legendary 7 swordsmen of the mist, things were looking a bit more tense. It was a team of Chunin versus a team of genin. Not the ideal matchup. All eyes were on Naruto, waiting to see his response. Naruto responded with a grin. A chance to test my skills against a member of the 7 swordsmen of the mist? Now how could I turn down such an enticing offer? I accept. Zabuza grinned, though it was hidden behind the bandages he wore around his face. He had just evened the odds. Their generation had been known as the strongest generation of the 7 swordsmen, and even amongst them, Zabuza was the most skilled swordsman. Sure, Kisame could beat him, but that was because of his skill in ninjutsu and his insanely high levels of chakra. His monster sword that absorbed chakra didn't hurt Kisame's chances either. However, in pure kenjutsu skill, Zabuza was undisputedly the best in Kyuubi, which, along with Kumo, was a village renowned for its top-tier swordsmen. Fox had fallen into his trap. He was sure he could beat him if Fox wasn't allowed to use his huge arsenal of techniques. Zabuza doubted Fox had prioritized his kenjutsu. The people on the bridge cleared a space in the middle for the two to duel it out. Narumi was nervous and was chewing on her nails. What if her Nai-chan lost? What if he died? How would she deal with that? This Zabuza guy looked scary, and had the intimidating aura to match. She didn't feel comfortable with this situation. Zabuza and Naruto stepped towards the makeshift ring that had just formed and stared each other down. For someone who claims to be a swordsman, I see that you're lacking a sword. Maybe that redhead girl can lend you hers, Zabuza told Naruto. Narumi scurried over and tried to give him her blade. When Zabuza saw the Damascus patterns of silver and a coppery red metal on the katana, he recognized it immediately. His eyes widened in surprise. That's the red whirlpool! Naruto smirked. Don't worry. I don't need such a fancy blade. I've got my own. He unsealed his Anbu Chikudo, which helped confirm that he was indeed Anbu, at least formerly, to Zabuza. You sure you can fight him with that Nai-chan? I mean, look at his sword, it's huge. Narumi asked in concern. Hey, don't worry about your Nai-chan. Looks like he's compensating for something, don't you think? Naruto commented. Huh? Narumi asked, not understanding the innuendo. Don't worry about it. Go back to the others and enjoy the show, Naruto said quickly, trying to cover up his slip-up. He didn't need or want his sister to know or think about such things. Zabuza had a vein twitching on his forehead. How dare he? He was going to show this asshole of an opponent no mercy. The shinobi with the Hunter Nin mask stepped up and yelled, Hajime! And the duel began. They sized each other up briefly, before the two fighters charged at each other with their swords drawn. Zabuza was shocked by Naruto's speed, as was everyone else watching, including his own genin. Only Sasuke had seen this level of speed, back when Naruto fought against Itachi, and that was a long time ago too. Naruto had gotten stronger and faster since then. Sparks flew between the two fighters as steel met steel. Naruto's sword was a blur, moving faster than the spectators could visually process. Surprisingly, Zabuza was able to parry his strikes, using minimal movement, while maximizing the use of his blade's massive size. It was looking like a pretty evenly matched fight, either landing a strike on the other. However, it only looked like that to the spectators. Zabuza was hard-pressed to defend, and didn't have the luxury of attacking as often as he would have liked, with the barrage of blows that were coming his way. He didn't have time to make more than the occasional counter-attack, because any time he wasn't spending on defending was time that Naruto's lighting quick slashes and stabs would be striking him. Naruto wasn't just fast either. His form was perfect and crisp. His footwork was immaculate, as he danced around Zabuza, weaving between Zabuza's strikes to deliver his own. What unsettled Zabuza the most, however, was that slightly unhinged smile Naruto had on his face. All shinobi fought. It was just an unavoidable part of their job. However, not all of them enjoyed fighting. Some fought because they were ordered to, some fought because they were attacked, and some fought because they thought what they were doing was right. Some shinobi, however, loved the thrill of flirting with death. His former comrade Kisame was one of those people. He saw a similar smile on Naruto's face, and realized he was enjoying this deadly dance of blades. Zabuza grinned under his bandages. He hadn't had a fight like this in ages. The inner demon that had been dormant inside him began to stir. He, too, was one of those people who truly awoke when flirting with death. Zabuza was putting up a good fight. In fact, it was the most trouble Naruto had had while fighting someone, at least when it came to kenjutsu. Naruto had to keep his senses razor-sharp to dodge or parry the surprisingly fast strikes that Zabuza was able to deliver effortlessly with that massive sword of his. Naruto was finding it difficult to find cracks in Zabuza's defense, despite his blistering speed. It took a true master to overcome such a difference in speed with pure skill. It was like a puzzle Naruto was trying to solve, one that could get him killed with a single mistake, figuring out patterns to Zabuza's movements, while trying not to give away his own. Naruto's smile grew wider and wider. He hadn't this much fun in a long time. Naruto unbelievably began to speed up, and Zabuza began to slow down as he started to receive minor cuts here and there. None of the individual cuts were crippling blows, but they were beginning to stack up. TCH, I didn't expect him to be this good, or this aggressive. I doubt any of the 7 swordsmen could beat him one-on-one in a sword fight. He could probably beat 3 of the weaker ones simultaneously. Maybe if me and Mangetsu teamed up. Zabuza was thinking to himself before he had to lean back to avoid a blow that came for his face. Haku was experienced enough to know her master was on the back foot. It looked like it was a fairly even fight to the civilians and genin watching, but Zabuza was making less than a fourth of the amount of offensive strikes than the blonde man was, and hadn't landed any successful hits. The Konoha Jonin was clearly the aggressor, and had the upper hand. Shit. If this keeps up, I'm gonna lose for sure. If I can just get one good hit on him, I can still win. Zabuza thought to himself, counting on the bigger knockout power and extra reach the Kubikuri Bocho had. He jumped back to create some space. He was planning to make one last attempt. He would bet it all on this one blow. Naruto noticed Zabuza's actions and realized what he was thinking. Zabuza was planning to rush him with a decisive blow, similar to an Aido clash between samurai. Naruto smiled. He would oblige him. He also jumped back and the 2 swordsmen looked at each other, as they briefly considered strategies. The 2 suddenly exploded into motion, almost moving in unison, responding to each other by reading the twitching of each other's muscles. The spectators were on the edge of their figurative seats as they watched the dramatic final clash. Narumi couldn't bear to watch anymore and closed her eyes as she muttered a prayer to keep him safe. Sasuke was scared for his sensei, but was also thrilled to be able to spectate such a fight. Even the fight between Naruto and Itachi hadn't been this dramatic or exciting, though it was mostly because they weren't going all out with their jutsu, and Itachi wasn't as skilled as Zabuza when it came to kenjutsu. The 2 swordsmen ran at each other, and slashed at their opponent. They passed by each other, and stood with their backs facing each other. The spectators didn't know who won that last clash, as everything happened so quickly, until a red line appeared on Zabuza's chest and blood started to seep out. He dropped his sword and fell to his knees. Naruto had used his blazing speed to subtly sidestep and strike at the same time, using the blunt edge of the sword to smash Zabuza's fingers holding the blade. He then used the momentum of his sword bouncing off of Zabuza's fingers to power his next strike into Zabuza's chest. "Why you win, you were the better swordsman," Zabuza admitted. Naruto turned around and prepared his sword to finish off Zabuza. Haku watched nervously, torn between protecting the person who was most precious to her, or following his wishes and allowing him to keep his honor. Naruto reached Zabuza and brought up his blade from behind him. He started to bring his sword down to cut him down, when Zabuza suddenly turned around and exposed his chest and neck by spreading his arms wide open. He had accepted his fate. Naruto halted at the sudden move. "What are you doing?" he asked in surprise. "Wounds on the back are a swordsman's shame," Zabuza managed to say between his pants. "Besides, you were the best swordsman I have ever fought against. A worthy opponent like you shouldn't have to stab someone in the back like a coward. You deserve to kill me with honor." Naruto smiled when he heard that. He began to laugh. "We're shinobi, Zabuza-san, not samurai. Honor shouldn't mean all that much to us," Naruto commented. "You're a damn fool, Zabuza, talking all this nonsense about honor and all. Not very becoming of a shinobi, you know," Naruto told Zabuza as he raised his sword. Haku's heart broke when she heard the blonde man say that. This was it. She needed to make a decision. Was she going to let him die, or was she going to taint his honor? Naruto angled his sword and brought it down. Zabuza closed his eyes, waiting for death to take him, like it had taken so many of Zabuza's previous opponents. He had made peace with his death. At least it would be at the hands of a worthy adversary. He was surprised when the blow he expected never came. He opened one eye to see what happened. Naruto had sealed the sword back into the advanced storage seal he had on his hand, one of the last things taught to him by Kushina before she passed. Zabuza opened his other eye as well and looked up at Naruto, questioning him with his look. "You're a fool, but I like you," Naruto said to everyone's surprise. "Guess that makes me a fool too. I'm gonna let you live." Zabuza and everyone else watching were flabbergasted. Zabuza wasn't even able to speak. "Besides, if I tried to strike you down, I don't think Yuki-chan over there would have thought twice about putting that saban in the back of my skull. Isn't that right, Haku-san?" Naruto said teasingly as he turned to look at the masked shinobi, who had her hands tightly clutched around the saban she had thought about throwing at Naruto to save Zabuza. "Haku? What do you mean?" Narumi asked, utterly confused. The shinobi sighed and took off her Kiri Hunterine mask, exposing her pretty face. "Haku? You were with Zabuza this whole time? He's your precious person?" Narumi asked in shock. Haku nodded. "I guess it's time I tell you the truth," she told Narumi. "I'm one of the last of the Yuki clan, as your sensei pointed out, due to the bloodline purge in Kiri, which is what the civil war over there is all about. My mother hid her identity and married my father, and they lived happily together and gave birth to me. We weren't that well off, but everything was still fine until one day I discovered my powers." Haku demonstrated by forming a flower out of ice, shocking everyone but Zabuza's team and Naruto. "My mom scolded me and told me to never show my powers to anyone ever again, but it was too late. My father, a supporter of the bloodline purge, discovered this fact and killed my mother. I was forced to kill him with my powers when he tried to kill me next. I lived on the streets, wandering aimlessly, and wanted to die. Zabuza-sama found me and took me in. He gave me a purpose to live again. To be his tool, serving him dutifully. Hey! People aren't tools. Sure, you might work for him, but that's because you want to. Tools don't get to choose that, you baka," Narumi shouted out. Haku stood still as she processed what she just heard. She had never thought about it that way before. She had lived as his tool, but she thought she had done so out of obligation. Narumi made her realize it went beyond that. She was staying with Zabuza by choice. She turned to look at Zabuza. "I don't need a soft tool like you, Haku. You'd rather heal people rather than kill. Not fitting for the demon of the mist to have such a weak tool. Go follow your own dreams or whatever. I don't need you anymore, and you don't need me anymore either," Zabuza told Haku, trying to sound tough, but people still recognized what he was trying to say. He wanted her to follow her own dreams. It surprised her and the demon brothers. It seemed the near encounter with death had softened him. Heck, who would have thought the demon of the mist was such a soft inside? Naruto joked, causing Zabuza to glare at him. What an asshole. Haku thought about what she wanted to do, as everyone looked at her, wondering what she would do next. Nobody had expected these turn of events, and though most of the people had no idea what this was all about, it was pretty dramatic and caught their attention. They didn't know why they were so invested in the personal lives of some strangers, but it was still interesting, and they were curious and wanted to see what happened. I want to continue serving you, Zabuza-sama. I wish to be by your side, to help you achieve your dreams. Your dream of overthrowing the tyrant of Kiri, Haku softly confessed. Zabuza was glad his face was covered in the bandages, as he would have killed anyone who saw the sappy smile he had on his face. But first, can I please have some time to hang out with my new friend? Just for a little bit? Haku asked Zabuza for a personal favor for the first time ever. This whole thing of being Narumi's enemy and friend at the same time had been eating her up, preventing her from seeing Narumi after their first meeting. But now they were no longer enemies, as Zabuza was giving up on this mission. Wait to ask me that as I'm left here on my knees with all these injuries, Zabuza said sarcastically, trying to cover up his slip-up of revealing his emotions. But sure. Go ahead. Just leave me here to die from my wounds, I guess. Naruto and Narumi chuckled at the scene as Haku awkwardly tried to say she obviously meant to do so after she treated Zabuza. The bridge builders and the rest of Team 7 were smiling at the scene, when suddenly the warm atmosphere was interrupted by slow hand claps. Everyone turned to see who was clapping, and they saw a short man in a business suit standing in front of what looked to be at least 200 thugs armed with all sorts of weapons, from swords, spears, to clubs. Bravo! What a heart-warming display from the pussycat of Kiri. Call yourself a demon and can't even kill a single old man. Pathetic. Oh well. I was planning on killing you afterwards anyway. You were too expensive. But I guess now that pretty boy over there has done half of the job for me, it's time to finish the job, unlike you who couldn't. Gato said sarcastically and hatefully. Gato! You dare backstab me! Zabuza yelled out in fury. He stood up to fight, but his wounds were taking a toll on him. Still, the demon of the mist wouldn't let a few scratches keep him away from a fight. He grabbed his huge sword, which now required both arms due to his fatigue and injuries, and began to walk over to Gato. Gato thought Zabuza would be close to death by now, and was scared senseless by Zabuza's sudden approach. He scurried behind his men. Kill him! Kill everyone! Whoever kills Zabuza and the Konoha ninja will be paid double! No, triple! Gato squealed out in fear. The thugs smirked an evil and greedy smile as they began to step towards Zabuza, believing in their numbers, but Zabuza didn't back down against their superior numbers. He stepped forward to meet them in battle, when suddenly Naruto's arm cut off his approach. Why don't we let our cute little Genin and Chunin handle this one? They're mere thugs and brutes anyway. It won't require the demon of the mist's valuable time and attention, wouldn't you agree? Naruto suggested with a small grin on his face. Zabuza looked over at the 6 other shinobi that were present. If looks could kill, Haku would have killed half of the thugs with her stare alone. How dare they try to backstab her master? Her kind and compassionate side was taken over by a fury that demanded blood. Narumi stood next to her new friend in support, brandishing her mother's sword, while the other 2 members stood behind her in support. The demon brother stood further behind, observing how this would all go down. Zabuza reluctantly agreed to Naruto's suggestion. You disgusting robbers, bullies and rapists! Haku growled out menacingly. I've had to put up with you scum for the sake of my master, but not anymore. How dare you try to backstab Zabuza-sama? She was shaking with rage. Zabuza and the demon brothers had never seen her this angry, and were wondering what she was about to do. The thugs were furious that this girly-looking boy dared to talk to them like that. They raised their weapons and began to run towards her. Hayatan, Tsurara Rendan! Ice release, icicle barrage! Haku yelled out as she formed hundreds of sharp icicles out of the moisture from the humid air and the water nearby, and sent them flying at the charging thugs like a volley of arrows. The first few rows in the front were mowed down by the jutsu, immediately halting their momentum and movement, as they tried to process what just happened. Naruto let out a whistle, impressed at the effectiveness of the rare Hayatan bloodline, and Haku's skill with it, while Zabuza looked on proudly. Scratch what he said earlier. She definitely had what it took to stand by his side in battle. Sasuke gave his teammates a look, and they nodded. It was time to try out one of their formations. Sasuke was itching for a chance to prove himself in combat, and didn't want to be outdone by Narumi's new friend who just displayed an impressive jutsu. With the huge number of opponents he was facing, he decided he would pull out a jutsu he had been working on with his mother. He channeled chakra into his legs to jump high into the air as he weaved his hand seals. Katan, Hosenka no Jutsu, Fire Release, Phoenix Sage Flower Technique. Sasuke yelled out, as he spit out numerous balls of fire that began to rain down over the thugs. Their numerical superiority counted for nothing the moment they foolishly walked onto the bridge to attack, and they had no room to dodge the fireballs that rained down over many of them. Some of them burned to death, while many of lucky ones got away with just burns. Sasuke landed in front of Haku. He wasn't done yet. He flipped through even more hand seals. Time to show off the fruit of his hard work. He would make his sensei proud. Katan, Ryuka no Jutsu. Fire Release, Dragon Flame Technique. He bellowed out, as flames traveled up the ninja wires that were attached to the shuriken that were hidden in the fireballs of his earlier attack. Using the Hosenka no Jutsu to set up his Ryuka no Jutsu. Brilliant. Naruto muttered to himself, as he proudly watched his student wreak havoc. Zabuza was amazed that a genin was showing so much proficiency with elemental jutsu. He looked over to Naruto, clearly impressed. The blonde jonin had genin that fit his caliber. The formation of the thugs were thrown into disarray, as the trails of fire consumed the unfortunate souls that were in the way. From Haku and Sasuke's opening attacks, nearly a fourth of them had been killed or incapacitated, and they no longer had any semblance of order. Narumi and Hinata sprung into action next, charging into the mass of people who were completely disorganized. The two resembled a storm, as Narumi sliced her way through the thugs, while Hinata quickly put down thugs with rapid strikes to critical pressure points, mopping up the survivors in the front ranks. Sasuke and Haku decided to join in, drawing kunai and jumping into action. The thugs were no match for the four shinobi that were carving their way through, and they slowly began to be pushed back. That was when the demon brothers sprung their attack from the rear, using their bladed chain to mow down the thugs in a pincer attack. The thugs were now sandwiched between a storm of angry genin and Haku, and a literal chainsaw hacking their way through from behind. Gato was hidden behind some trees, far from the action where he felt safer. He watched his small army of thugs get mowed down, and he felt a chill crawling up his spine. This was not how things were supposed to go. Now all he could do was hope his backup plan to get the bridge builder's family as hostages worked out. Naruto wished he had some popcorn as he watched his team make short work of Gato's men with skill and good teamwork, when he felt a tingle on a seal on his arm. He smirked when memories of what happened returned to him. That fool Gato. Did he think he wouldn't have any contingencies for protection back at Tazuna's house? Naruto decided he had seen enough. He didn't need his genin to have hundreds of kills in their body counts just yet. Team 7! Fall back! I'll take over from here. Naruto ordered his genin. The team obediently fell back. They didn't enjoy killing people that much anyway, which is why Hinata knocked them out or crippled them instead if she could, though a few had died from internal damage to their organs from her Juken strikes. In a matter of minutes, they went from having never killed anyone before, to having dozens of kills under their belts. They didn't feel too great about it, but Wave's terrible state brought on by these people, who were killers, robbers, and rapists, made the genin feel a little better, feeling like they had some sort of justification. When Zabuza's team saw Team 7 pulling out, they began to fall back as well. The thugs were more than happy to get a moment of reprieve, and to gather themselves. They thought the worst had passed. They couldn't be more wrong. Of the 200 thugs that had come with Gato earlier, only about a quarter of them remained. They regrouped, hoping to find an opening to escape. They tried to leave, only to have their escape cut off by a blonde man. "Get out of our way or we'll kill you!" one of the thugs yelled out. "It's one of you versus all of us. This isn't a fair fight. Get the hell out of the way," another yelled out. "You're absolutely right. It definitely isn't a fair fight," Naruto said with a smirk. He pulled out several kunai and threw them at the mob in front of him, forming seals with one hand as he pulled out his Chikuto again. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. The handful of shuriken multiplied into hundreds with the amount of chakra Naruto put into the move, and tore into the rows closest to him, cutting them to shreds. They had no time to react, as Naruto and two shadow clones appeared amongst them immediately after, and began their assault. The genin and chunin present, as well as everyone else watching, looked on in fear as the three Narutos moved in a blur. Blood sprayed into the air, more and more blood flying into the air before the previous spurts of blood could even hit the ground. Limbs and head were flying around, like chaff being blown by the wind, and the blood began to form a mist around the carnage. The genin realized how skilled Zabuza was to fight on somewhat even grounds against their beast of a sensei for so long. None of Naruto's movements were wasted, each strike sending someone to the afterlife, though only Zabuza's trained and experienced eyes were able to truly appreciate what they were seeing. Back at Tazuna's house, Tsunami was doing the dishes when she heard someone knock at her door. "Who is it?" Tsunami called out, but the people at the door didn't reply, only continuing to knock at her door aggressively. All right. I'm coming," Tsunami said to herself, as she dried off her hands and headed to the door. When she opened the door was roughly slammed open by the people on the other side. It was Gato's henchmen, Zora and Waraji. They forced their way in and grabbed her by the wrist. "Come with us quietly and spare us the trouble, will ya?" Zora said to Tsunami with a smirk. Waraji meanwhile had other ideas as he lecherously looked up and down Tsunami's body. "Boss just told us to bring her. He never said we couldn't have some fun first." Inari had been hiding behind the entrance to the living room, but he wasn't about to let these thugs have their way with his mom while he did nothing. He grabbed a broom and rushed out to attack the intruders. Waraji easily sliced the broom in half with a quick slash of his sword. "Looks like you decided to spare us the trouble of looking for you. How nice of you, brat." Waraji sneered as he grabbed the boy by the throat. "No! Please! Let my son go. I'll come with you quietly," Tsunami begged in tears. "Nah, we were ordered to bring both of you. But we won't hurt him unnecessarily if you submit," Zora told Tsunami as he grinned perversely. Tsunami shed tears at the dilemma she was faced with. She didn't know what to do. "Close your eyes, Inari." Inari heard a voice quietly tell him with authority. He felt compelled to obey. "Who was the dash?" Waraji was unable to finish his sentence when his head was removed from his body. The last thing he saw before he lost consciousness was Zora's decapitated head on the floor, looking back at Waraji's own decapitated head in confusion, before his eyes glazed over. Naruto escorted the two frightened people away from the bloody mess. "And Naruto-san!" Tsunami managed to stammer out through her shock, as she fell into his arms. "Sure. Everything will be okay. I'm just a clone the real me left behind just in case. I was hiding in your house just in case something like this might happen," the clone explained. After all of the shocking events that just occurred, it was not difficult for the woman to accept the strange explanation. The clone then turned to Inari. "You were very brave there, kid. You knew you had no chance of winning, but you went in there anyway, because you knew trying to protect your mother was more important than the actual outcome." Inari was speechless, mostly because of shock, but also because he didn't know how to respond. Here was a man he thought was a jerk, but now he was complimenting him. Now you know how Kaiser felt when he stood up to Gato. He's no idiot. He's a hero. And today you were too, Naruto warmly told the boy. Inari was stunned. Maybe Hinata was right. Maybe this Naruto person wasn't just a dick. He was moved with emotions and began to cry when Naruto ruffled his hair like Kaiser used to do. This is the start, Inari. You've finally gotten over the victim mentality. You're learning how to take your destiny into your own hands, instead of just taking the blows life gives you laying down, Naruto said encouragingly. Now, are you gonna let some foreign jerks come and save your home, or are you gonna do something about it? Naruto asked. But what can I do? I'm just an 8-year-old kid, Inari said meekly. Do you want to help? Naruto asked the boy, who nodded vigorously. Good. Then go and gather the people of Wave and come to the bridge. It's time to show Gato who Wave really belongs to, Naruto told Inari. Inari looked up at Naruto in awe for a second, before he realized he was wasting time and ran out to town. Naruto proudly watched as Inari ran off, when he felt a soft hand on his shoulder. Thank you? Thank you for saving us. And thank you for giving us hope again, Tsunami told Naruto with a sincere smile on her face. All in a day's work, Tsunami-san, Naruto replied. Now, about that mess at my entrance, Tsunami asked sheepishly. She wasn't too fond of the sight of blood. I'll clean that up. Naruto sighed out as his shoulders sagged. What a drag. Back at the bridge, the body of the last thug dispatched by Naruto hit the ground. It had only taken a minute for him to kill over 50 people. His handsome appearance was hidden by the gore that covered him. That was the sight that greeted Inari and the villagers when they arrived on the scene. Many thought he was a demon when they saw the carnage that surrounded him. Oh. Hey! You're here! Naruto cheerfully waved at Inari, forgetting the fact that he looked like an insane serial killer right now. It had been a long time since blood stopped bothering him. When Gato saw Inari and the villagers, he knew it was over. He tried to slink away quietly. Damn it! Why did those damn Konoha ninja have to get involved? They ruined everything. Gato thought to himself as he tried to sneak away. He was looking over his shoulder as he walked into the forest when he bumped into what he thought was a brick wall. Huh! What's a wall doing in the middle of? Gato's words died in his throat when he saw Zabuza staring down at him with Kubikura Bocho slung over his shoulder. Going somewhere? Chapter 24, Mission to Wave Part 4. Gato tumbled across the ground as he was roughly thrown at Naruto's feet by Zabuza. Found the little rat trying to sneak away through the forest, Zabuza told Naruto. Naruto crossed his arms as he looked down at the dirty form of one of the richest men in the entire world. Well, who do we have here? If it isn't Big Shot Sama himself in the flesh. He proceeded to pick him up by the collar of his expensive business jacket. Gato had never been so scared in his entire life. He had been scared at the ruthless efficiency of the genin and chunin who had massacred the majority of his thug army, but the man who was holding him up. He made those 6 shinobi look like bumbling babies, the way he slaughtered over 50 men with what almost appeared to be a dance, in less than a minute. He looked into the icy blue eyes of the blonde Konoha ninja, which contrasted sharply with the crimson blood that covered him, and he swore he could see the Shinigami looking down at him. The limbs he saw lying all over the bridge attested to the man's brutality. Please. I'll do anything. I'll pay however much you want. JJ, just let me live. Gato stuttered heavily, making Hinata look eloquent and confident by comparison. Naruto's smirk turned into a look of disgust as he saw a yellow liquid drip down the legs of Gato's expensive tailored suit. Still, he had Gato right where he wanted him. So you don't want me to kill you, huh? Naruto asked, and Gato nodded his head as if his life depended on it, because it did. Naruto smirked as he pulled out several documents, which he had stolen from Gato's office the night Narumi met Haku. Great! Why don't you sign these and hand over your company and entire fortune? I've already written and signed my part. All you gotta do is sign. Gato, next to Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. Which I already signed. Zabuza's eyebrows shot up when he heard the name. The man who had defeated him in combat was the son of the Yondaime Hokage and one of the last members of the destroyed Uzumaki clan. He should have recognized that blonde hair and talent for battle earlier. Gato was shocked at Naruto's impossible request, but one look at Naruto's face made Gato realize he would not budge. He held all the cards after all. He had been in that position many times before, and knew Naruto had no reason to let him off easy. He reasoned he could always make more money, but he only had one life after all. He'd recoup his lost fortune somehow, and have this blonde son of a bitch assassinated. He would put out the largest bounty ever recorded just to have his blonde head preserved and put on his desk. But to do all that, he needed to get out of this situation alive first. He reluctantly signed the papers. Naruto carefully read through the papers. He was now the owner of Gato's shipping empire, and one of the largest fortunes in the world. His parents' lost fortune was but a fraction of the immense wealth that he now held, even if he added his already sizable fortune that he earned from taking so many S-rank missions. He had to read the amount of Ryo he had just received from Gato several times to make sure he read it correctly. This was more than he had seen in his wildest dreams. Narumi had never seen her brother smile a smile so big. Hey! How come he never smiled like that back home? Just what was on those papers? Narumi thought to herself. Naruto sealed the documents away. Tell me one more thing I want to know and I won't kill you. Tell me where you hid all of your money that's not in your bank accounts. I have the power to tell if you're lying, so don't try any funny business. That last statement was a lie, but there was no way for Gato to know, and he wasn't about to risk his life to find out. Gato sang like a canary, telling Naruto where all of his hidden wealth was located, and the passcodes for his safes. This couldn't have been a better day for Naruto. He decided to keep his word. Very good. Thanks for all the lovely information. Since I'm in a good mood, I'll keep my word. I won't kill you. Gato let out a breath he had been holding. Looked like the worst was over. Now all he had to do was figure out how to get his money out of his accounts before Naruto withdrew his money. Hey! Inari! Tell the villagers he's all theirs! Naruto shouted out. Gato's eyes opened wider than he had ever opened them before. Wait! This isn't what we agreed upon! You said you'd let me live! Zabuza smirked. Ah, a double-crosser getting double-crossed. Sweet poetic justice. It seemed the gods were alive indeed. What do you mean? I said I wouldn't kill you. I don't see my sword in your brain right now, do you? I never said I'd protect you, you know. What they do to you is none of my business, Naruto said with a straight face before he turned around with the biggest shit-eating grin you'd ever see on his face. Gato's face paled as he fell to his knees. That damn bastard! How dare he? Did he have any idea who he was dealing with? He was Gato. Gato. He was more powerful than some daimyo. He couldn't be treated like this. He looked up when he saw hundreds of feet in front of him, only to see the angry, yet smug faces of the hundreds of people he'd screwed over. You thought your day of reckoning would never come, huh? Tazuna said to Gato, saying what was on the minds of all of the villagers who had gathered. Gato was speechless, and began shaking in fear. He knew what was coming. This is for my dad, Kaiza! Inari yelled as he slapped him in the face. That started off the lynching by the crowd. In a matter of minutes, Gato's battered body lied on the bridge, next to the bodies of the thugs he had hired to terrorize the people of Wave, unmoving. He was dead, beaten to death by the people he had stolen from, sold, beaten, raped, and killed. Wave was finally free. The people of Wave cried and cheered as their new reality finally set in, and people were clapping and hugging each other all over the place. The genin and Inari were a little unsettled by the brutal way Gato was killed, but the fury during the lynching and the unbridled jubilation at their liberation served to show how much the people of Wave had suffered at Gato's hands. Besides, the genin had done their own share of killing that day, so they weren't in the position to judge. A couple days later, at the bridge completion and Wave liberation celebration, the people threw the biggest party they had ever thrown in the last 50 years, to celebrate two momentous occasions. One, for completing the bridge, which connected them to the mainland, and to the land of fire, and two, to celebrate their liberation from Gato. Naruto had collected all of Gato's money, and he had generously donated a fifth of the massive fortune for the rebuilding and reconstruction of the village. He had also paid for all of the alcohol and food that the villagers were enjoying at the festival-like party, and the people of Wave were immensely grateful to him. They had even tried making him the daimyo of Wave, but Naruto had politely declined, instead suggesting Tazuna, as he had risked his own life to save Wave. The people readily agreed, and Tazuna reluctantly became the newest daimyo of Wave. Zabuza sat at a table near the massive bonfire in the middle of the town, eating his food with Haku and the demon brothers. He had been recovering under the care of Haku and Hinata, and Haku was surprised and grateful for the valuable insight Hinata was able to provide with her Byakugan and medical knowledge she had learned from Shizen. Zabuza looked around, and saw people celebrating, drinking alcohol freely, dancing, and singing. So, this was what it was like when an oppressed people overthrew a tyrant. He sighed and chugged from his bottle of sake. It was all dandy for the people of Wave, but he was now back to where he was before this whole mess with Tazuna and Gato began. He needed to get more funds for the rebellion for his own home country. He wondered if he would ever live to see this sight in Kiri. He was broken out of his thoughts when Naruto came and sat at his table. Mind if I join you for a drink? Naruto asked the former Kiri ninja. Zabuza shook his head. Not at all. It's your celebration after all. Naruto chuckled. Please! This is Wave's celebration, for their own liberation, not a celebration for me. They're just happy I bought their booze. Boy, can they drink! Zabuza chuckled as well as he took another sip. How about you three join my genin for a second? I'd like to talk to Zabuza alone. Naruto told the demon brothers and Haku, who agreed and left. So, what did you want to say? Zabuza asked, curious at Naruto's sudden change in attitude. Well, you're kind of famous. Tried to kill the Mizukage, failed, and ran away. Now you do odd jobs as a missing nin, doing whatever to make money, like working with scum like Gato. Naruto said indifferently. Right. Thanks for reminding me, Zabuza said as he rolled his eyes. He took another long chug. Yeah. It's a waste, you know. Someone of your skill degrading yourself like this. I know you're not done with the Mizukage just because you had your ass kicked once. I bet you plan on fighting him again one day if you can. Zabuza was getting annoyed at Naruto's lack of tact. So, what are you getting at? What is it you want to tell me? Naruto smirked as he pulled out a scroll and handed it to Zabuza. Zabuza was a bit annoyed, but he took the scroll anyway. His annoyance vanished when he opened up the scroll and read what was written in it. His mouth hung open, and his eyes were bulging. You can't be serious, Zabuza finally said after a few moments of speechlessness. You're giving me 100 billion ryo? Naruto grinned. Well, I guess you could see it that way. I guess you could also see it as funds for the Kiri rebellion, and for rebuilding Kiri if you guys win. Why would you go so far to help us? We have nothing to do with you, Zabuza asked, unable to believe what was happening. This was more money than he had been able to gather for years. The amount he had managed to scrape together wasn't even close to 1% of what Naruto was offering. And the people of Wave had anything to do with me? Let's just say I hate seeing people suffering under stupid tyrants, Naruto said to Zabuza, as his mind went back to that mission he and Itachi had back in AIM, where he saw helpless civilians and children get massacred by Hanzo's shinobi as they tried to flee from the tyrant Mizukage in Kiri. He had seen a lot of violence, but that sight had stuck with him throughout the years. He was able to relate with their plight, growing up as an orphan in a rebuilding village, and feeling helpless with nobody caring about your well-being. Besides, if you guys win, maybe Kiri and Konoha could have improved relationships. I mean, I don't want my sister's new friend to be in an enemy village. Hard for them to stay friends that way, you know. Anyway, what do you say? Sounds like a win-win situation, no? Zabuza couldn't say anything. If he turned down such a ludicrous offer, he would be an idiot, and Zabuza was no idiot. Fine. I'll accept. Naruto smirked. He would let Zabuza play it cool. Well, now that that's done, I'll be going. Enjoy another bottle, Naruto said as he grabbed a bottle from the platter of a server who walked by, and placed it in front of Zabuza. It's on the house. He then began to walk away. Zabuza watched as Naruto walked away, before yelling out to him. Hey! Naruto turned around. Thanks, Zabuza said in a voice that was almost too quiet for Naruto to hear. He still heard him though. Naruto gave him a smile and a thumbs up, and walked away. Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. I'll remember that name, Zabuza muttered to himself. This one's in your honor, Zabuza said to himself as he took another sip of sake. Back at Tazuna's house it was nearly 3 a.m. when Naruto came back. The genin had already been sleeping for the last 2 hours. He took off his shoes, and was about to head to the guest room he was sharing with Sasuke, when the door to Tsunami's room slid open. Hello, Tsunami-san. Did you enjoy yourself at the party? Naruto asked the older woman. She nodded. I sure did. We haven't had a celebration like that since, well, ever. At least not as long as I can remember. I'm glad to hear that, Tsunami-san. Wave deserves it after suffering for so long, Naruto said with a rare soft smile. We owe it all to you. Thank you, Naruto-san. If it wasn't for you and your team, our village would have been doomed. You brought us hope, freedom, and now, a better tomorrow, Tsunami said gratefully. You've helped not only Wave, but you've brought my son out of the darkness as well. Naruto smiled. You're quite welcome. He began to head upstairs, before a thought popped into his mind. Actually, would you mind having a drink with me, Tsunami-san? Naruto asked. Tsunami blushed a little at the thought of sharing a drink alone with the handsome savior of Wave. I'd like that, Naruto-san. Naruto poured each of them a small bowl of sake. He just wanted to have a drink and talk, not get wasted. They began to drink, enjoying their sake and the conversation they were having. It's amazing how you managed to keep your family above the water when everyone else was going under. It attests to your skill with managing finances. Naruto complimented Tsunami. Why, thank you. I've studied business a little bit before Gato came, and I had to get creative with how to make money to feed my family, Tsunami replied. Naruto smiled. I have a proposition for you, Tsunami-san. How would you like to be the new CEO of Gato's shipping empire? Tsunami was taken aback. What? I said, how would you like to run your own company? I'd like to make you the new CEO of Gato's shipping empire. Do you really mean that? I mean, as amazing as that sounds, I'm not sure I'd do a good job, Tsunami told Naruto. If you were able to keep your books in the black during the worst recession in wave history, I'm sure you can do a good job with Gato's company. Besides, I'm too busy to run a company, and you're someone I can trust. I know you'd be able to do a fantastic job. Tsunami looked at her reflection in the cup as she thought. Here was a chance to completely change their lives. They had the opportunity to go from struggling to get by, to becoming wealthy beyond imagination. She thought about all the opportunities she could afford for her son, and all the good she could do with the money. She could really make a difference in this world. The only thing holding her back was self-doubt. Could she really handle such a responsibility? She was just some small-town woman, who barely had any experience running a business, let alone a massive company on the scale of Gato's empire. After a bit of contemplation, she decided she wouldn't let self-doubt destroy her chance at making a difference in her community and the world. The gods had presented her with an opportunity, and she made up her mind not to let the chance slip from her fingers. She looked up to see Naruto's beautiful blue eyes waiting patiently for her response. This man had changed her entire life in a matter of weeks, in so many ways. She was immensely grateful, and vowed to herself that she would never let him down. I'll accept your offer, Naruto-san. I'll give it my all to run it properly, and not let you down. Tsunami told Naruto with strong resolve evident in her voice. Naruto chuckled as he watched the petite woman in front of him go from self-doubt to showing such strong resolve, one befitting a warrior. He knew he made the right choice. All right. Sounds good. I know you won't let me down. I know I made the right decision today. He raised his bowl of sake, and motioned her to do the same. To Gato's dash. He paused. That didn't sound right. He decided he would rename his new company to Wave Shipping Company and her newest CEO. May they always prosper. Tsunami smiled. She liked the new name. To Wave and her savior. The two clinked their bowls together after their toast and drank their sake. It was the start of their beautiful relationship as business partners, and of a new era for Wave Shipping Company. A few days later, on the bridge, the whole village had gathered to see Team 7 off, and they had decided to do the bridge opening ceremony on the same day, with Team 7 receiving the honor to be the first to use the bridge. The people were all sad to see their beloved heroes leave the village, and asked them to stay a little longer, but they had to politely refuse, saying they had to get back home. Zabuza decided to stay for a few more days to recover before heading towards Kiri, and was also present to see Team 7 off. Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. I'll remember that name, Zabuza said as he raised his hand to shake hands with Naruto. Naruto smiled at the bandaged man in front of him. He saw many similarities in the man, including his need to hide his emotions and his awkward attempt at hiding an emotional goodbye by trying to look cool. He reached out and grabbed Zabuza's forearm, and Zabuza did the same with Naruto's. It was a man's handshake. Or at least they thought so. Heh. Why thank you? Good luck with your fight against the Mizukage. Naruto responded, and Zabuza nodded before stepping back. Haku came forward to give Narumi a farewell handshake as well. She had never really had friends before, and was very unfamiliar with goodbyes. Narumi smacked her hand away, before enveloping her in a bear hug. Forget a stupid handshake. This is how real friends greet each other goodbye. This was new grounds for Haku, but she decided she enjoyed it. It made her feel warm inside in a way she hadn't felt in years. She would look to get more hugs in the future. Thank you, Narumi. You're my first friend, and I'll always cherish our friendship, she said shyly before stepping back. She was just as terrible with goodbyes as her master was. You will all always be welcome in Wave. Please come visit again. We'll surprise you with how much we'll change for the better, Tsunami said cheerfully as she waved goodbye. Naruto had given her further funds to give out as interest-free loans for people seeking to build up their lives and businesses again, and she intended to have Wave become more prosperous than ever, to show Naruto his faith in her, and the village were not misplaced. The people of Wave and Tsunami owed him big time. Nobody was sadder than Inari at Team 7's upcoming departure. He had really bonded with them during their stay, even though they had a rocky start to their relationship. He really enjoyed Narumi's bubbly personality and Hinata's kindness, but he would miss Naruto especially. Do you have to go? Can't you stay another week or so? Maybe we can hire you for another mission or something? Inari suggested. Naruto laughed and ruffled his hair. Hey! I barely got Tazuna to pay the proper amount for his mission, After I basically gave him that money too. Besides, my genin have families they need to get back to. Use your money for better things, brat, he said fondly. Inari's face failed to hide his feelings, as his face fell. He wondered if he'd ever see them again. Listen, I've got to get back home to my own village, but who knows? Maybe I'll come by again in the future. I've invested quite a bit in your village, you know. Naruto told Inari, who brightened up a little. Now I don't want you to go back to being that whiny little brat you were when we first met. I need you to be strong, and look after your mother and grandfather, okay? Inari nodded. He wouldn't let Naruto down. Naruto gave him a smile. Good. I like that look in your eyes. I know you won't let me down. He unsealed the scroll, where he continued to unseal a wooden training sword that Narumi once used as a child, and a training scroll for basic kenjutsu katas. Here. I have a feeling you'll be able to put these to good use, Naruto said as he handed Inari his gifts. Inari's eyes had stars in them as he eagerly accepted the gifts bestowed upon him by his hero. Train hard, okay? I might just drop by to see if you're slacking off, alright? Naruto told Inari. Of course, and Ai-chan. I'll work my butt off and become a skilled swordsman just like you. Inari responded back. Naruto chuckled. Good to hear that. He pulled out his Anbu Chikudo and handed it to Tsunami. Hold on to that for me. If Inari trains hard and masters all his katas, you can give that to him for his 12th birthday. Tsunami nodded and took the sword. Inari was ecstatic. The sword that was used to free wave was now being passed down to him. He would train every day to earn the rights to that sword. Anyway, it's time for us to head back to Konoha. I'll take your proposal for an alliance and trade agreement with Konoha to the Hokage, Naruto told Tazuna. Alright, Team 7. Let's head back. Naruto told his team, and they turned to leave. Tazuna handed Naruto a large pair of scissors to cut the ribbon on the bridge before he left. Please, do us the honor, and officially open our new bridge. Does the new bridge have a name? Naruto asked as he received the scissors. Yes. We decided to call it the Bridge of the Swordsman, or alternatively, the Swordsman's Bridge. Tazuna announced proudly. Naruto and Zabuza both smiled. What a fitting name. The Swordsman's Bridge, huh? Naruto mused on the name. I like it. But I can't cut the ribbon with these then. Naruto tossed the scissors back at Tazuna. Oi! Zabuza! Mind lending me that toothpick of yours for a second? Naruto yelled out to Zabuza. Zabuza decided he would let Naruto's disrespect slide just this once. He tossed the Kubikuribocho to Naruto, who grabbed it with one hand, with the help of some chakra. He wasn't as strong as Zabuza was after all. He looked over the legendary sword, admiring the excellent craftsmanship, and the love and care that went into maintaining it. He raised the sword, and swung the massive blade to cut the ribbon. Everyone cheered loudly, as the Bridge of the Swordsman was officially in commission now. A few days later, in Konoha, the genin on Team 7 couldn't have been happier to enter through the massive gates of Konoha. As much fun as they had in Wave, this was their home, with all of its pros and cons. They still had to give their reports before heading home, and before long, they were in front of the Hokage in his office, giving their mission reports. Naruto gave his report last, after his genin. He told the Hokage how the mission went, but he left out some details, especially regarding what happened to Gado's wealth, or how he spent it. He had only brought back a small portion, which was still a huge amount of Ryo, to Konoha, saying he raided one of Gado's stashes. The Hokage spoke after attentively listening to all of the reports. I see. You've all done an excellent job on such a difficult mission. With the involvement of Zabuza and the Demon Brothers, this mission will officially be raised to an A-rank mission, and you will all be paid the corresponding pay. The genin looked at each other, proud of their achievements, and excited at being praised and paid so richly by their Hokage. This whole mission was awesome, and they couldn't wait to tell their friends. You are all dismissed now. Except for you, Naruto-kun. You stay. Naruto winced when he heard that. He knew what was coming. Great. The genin were oblivious to Naruto's plight and gladly left, excited to see their friends and families again after over a month of being away. When the door closed behind the genin, Hiruzen turned his attention to Naruto. What the hell were you thinking? You could have gotten those kids killed! Hiruzen yelled at the top of his lungs. He was furious that Naruto had breached standard protocol so recklessly and egregiously. You should have reported the breach of contract and returned to Konoha immediately. This is a gross violation of mission procedures for genin. And then what? Leave the old man to die? I'm sure that would have been great for Konoha's image, abandoning a client because we got scared by some stupid chunin. Naruto argued back. We could have sent another team. They may be stupid chunin to a shinobi of your caliber, but you have a team of fresh genin who's only done 5 D ranks. Hiruzen shouted at Naruto. The secretary outside the door was worried. The Hokage usually never yelled like that. The ANBU hidden in the room, however, were barely able to hide their snickers as they watched an ANBU legend get chewed out. Sheesh. You don't have to yell. Let me remind you that it was those very genin who defeated them. We have to push them to really let them grow, you know. I know you didn't train the Sannin by babying them. Those were different times, Naruto-kun. And none of them were clan heirs of our most important clans, who would have thrown a fit if anything had happened. I've already heard enough complaints that I was showing your team favoritism, and if anything had happened, it would have been a disaster. Hiruzen told Naruto, a little quieter, forcing himself to calm down. Yeah, but it wasn't a disaster. It was a huge success that went beyond anyone's expectations. We saved an entire country, and they are indebted to us. They even asked us to be their allies, and offered us favorable trade deals which would help out with our economy. I'm sure that would shut Councilwoman Hirano's mouth, no? Naruto reasoned. And I know the loot I managed to bring back will be appreciated. Hiruzen had to give him that one. Naruto always did things a little unconventionally, but things always seemed to work out better than what was expected from the mission. It was the damn Uzumaki in him. It was that same unconventional attitude which had made them the greatest seal masters of all time. Hiruzen supposed there was no point trying to change something or someone who consistently brought back stellar results. Fine. I'll let things slide since you've brought back undeniably great results, but one of these days your disregard for the rules will come back to bite you in your butt. The Sandaime told Naruto. I've been hearing that ever since I joined the ANBU at 11, Hokage-sama. And so far, my butt has remained unbitten. Naruto said as he turned around to point at his rear. Just get out of here. I want the written report by tomorrow. Hiruzen said as he dragged his hand down his face. As you command, Hokage-sama. Naruto smirked as he vanished in a swirl of leaves. Since you all find this so funny, one of you guys can sweep up this mess. The Sandaime told the ANBU who were supposed to be protecting him. Sighs could be heard from the corners of the office. The Uchiha household. After a long day of work, Mikoto was excited to see her son again after his mission which kept him away for over a month. She invited Izumi for dinner, as the girl had almost become a daughter or niece to her. Sasuke would probably appreciate her being there as well. She picked up some mackerel and pickled tomatoes, 2 of Sasuke's favorites, to have for dinner with her son. The 3 Uchiha soon found themselves at the dinner table, for a home-cooked meal Sasuke had been missing. So how was your first C-rank mission, sweetheart? Mikoto asked her son. Actually, it ended up being promoted to an A-rank mission, Sasuke said nonchalantly as he reached for a piece of grilled mackerel. Mikoto dropped her chopsticks. What? Oh. But everything went well. You don't have to worry, Sasuke replied as he ate. An A rank? As genin? And you want me to not worry? Mikoto couldn't believe her ears. Izumi put her hands on Mikoto's shoulders to help her calm down, and sit back down, as she had stood up in the middle of her yelling. Perhaps it was just an A rank for some technical reason, Mikoto-sama. Why don't we hear what his mission was like? Izumi suggested. Mikoto wondered if she was overreacting, and decided to hear Sasuke's retelling of the mission himself. Sasuke didn't see what the big deal was, not realizing the seriousness of the situation, and told the 2 Uchiha policewomen what had happened on his mission. What? Zabuza? The demon of the Miss Zabuza? Mikoto was about to faint. Izumi was shocked too. That was very irresponsible of Naruto-kun. I can't believe he decided to let you guys continue the mission after realizing there were ninja that were at least Chunin level that were involved. I didn't expect that from him. Hey! Don't talk about Naruto and Aisen that way. What's the big deal anyway? We took care of them pretty easily, Sasuke argued. Calm down, Sasuke-kun. I wasn't saying anything bad about him. I'm just surprised he let you guys fight Chunin on your first mission out of the village, Izumi told Sasuke. You were never like this when Itachi went on his missions. Do you not trust me to handle myself on mine? Besides, it was good experience for us. I even got to try out the Hosenka no Jutsu, Phoenix Sage Flower technique, on the mission, Ka-chan. Mikoto realized she might be treating Sasuke a little unfairly, as Itachi was doing even more dangerous missions at an even younger age. Maybe she was being overprotective. I suppose you're right. I just worry about you, you know. Mikoto admitted. You know we just worry about you because we care for you, Sasuke-kun. I guess we were just surprised because the situation was just so unusual. Trust me when I say we have faith in your abilities. Izumi told Sasuke. So, were you able to pull off the Hosenka no Jutsu without any problems? You were having some issues making the jutsu work properly during our time training. Mikoto asked Sasuke, deciding to forget about the fact that he was taken illegally on an A-ranked mission and focusing on the positives. Yeah. Naruto and Ai-san has us train our elemental affinities and chakra control constantly, and the extra training with Kakashi-sensei helped me get the hang of it. Sasuke told his mom. Wow. Now you can do 2 katan jutsu. That's pretty impressive for someone your age. Izumi commented. Actually, it's 3. Naruto and Ai-san and Kakashi-sensei taught me the Ryoka no Jutsu, Dragon Flame technique, as well. I was actually able to use the Shuriken and the Hosenka no Jutsu to set up the wires for the Ryoka no Jutsu. Sasuke informed the 2 women. Izumi whistled, impressed at Sasuke's skill, while Mikoto looked at him with a warm smile. She was proud of her boy. He was showing the same prodigious talent that her husband and Itachi had shown. That's very impressive, Sasuke-kun. Most people wouldn't think to connect those 2 jutsu. Looks like we got a genius here. You're gonna be stronger than me in no time. Izumi told Sasuke. Sasuke enjoyed the praise, but his mood soured slightly when he remembered one thing that had been bothering him. I mean, I guess it's cool, but I'm still far being a genius. I haven't even unlocked my Sharingan yet. Sasuke mumbled. Despite all of his achievements, he felt inadequate. After all, what was an Uchiha without their Sharingan? I'm sure you'll unlock your Sharingan soon, Sasuke-kun. You don't have to be so anxious. It'll happen when it happens. Izumi told Sasuke in an effort to make him feel better. Sasuke-kun, you'll unlock your Sharingan when you need it most. You don't have to worry about it never activating. Mikoto also told her son. He nodded in agreement, but inside he was having some doubts of his own. Why is it taking so long for my Sharingan to activate? Am I not challenging myself enough? He figured he would ask his sensei for advice. At the Senja household. What do you mean it was an A-rank mission? Tsunade yelled out in shock at hearing Narumi's tale at the family dinner. Super cool, right? It was everything I imagined a mission would be like, unlike those stupid D-rank missions. We fought some bad guys, protected some people, and even saved an entire country. Narumi boasted. Naruto! I can't believe you would risk your whole team like that so carelessly. You allowed your untested genin to fight 2 missing Nin Chunin? Alone? What were you thinking? Tsunade scolded her blonde nephew. Sheesh. How many times am I gonna have to hear this today? Naruto complained as he picked his ears from all the screeching he was hearing. I've tested them, and I knew they were capable of putting up a fair fight against them. Besides, I was right there if anything went wrong. So why don't you ken it, you old hag? I don't need to hear about being careless or irresponsible from you. Tsunade glared at Naruto. He promised he wouldn't tell anyone about the details on how he found her, but he hinted at it all the time. That cheeky little bastard. Shizen cut in before things escalated further. But I'm impressed you were able to beat them. The Demon Brothers are on the bingo book as C-ranked missing Nin. I'm not sure any other group of genin would have been able to fight them as well as you guys did. Great job. Tsunade turned her glare to Shizen. That traitor. She was supposed to help her scold Naruto, not indirectly praise his decisions. Narumi was rather oblivious to all the subtext going on, and beamed at Shizen's praise. I know, right? Our team is awesome. We all work so hard to become stronger, and we motivate each other to try harder too. Our teamwork is pretty great. You should have seen the way we were beating those thugs left and right. It was all like boom, pow, slash. It was pretty awesome. Can't wait for another A-rank mission. The 3 adults gave her a strange look. What? We did pretty well on this mission, no? We proved that we can handle A-rank missions, so they should give us more, right, Ai-chan? Narumi asked. As well as you guys did, this was a fluke. The demon brothers weren't prepared to fight genin who were as well trained as you guys were, but if they didn't underestimate you guys after they thought they took me out, they would have easily beaten you. Also, they only raised it to a B rank. The A rank was from Zabuza, who I fought, not you guys. He would have destroyed you guys. So, let's not get ahead of ourselves, Naruto told Narumi, who seemed to deflate at hearing him. Well, you guys still did a great job, so don't feel too down. You might not get another A rank immediately, but I'm sure this will all be taken into consideration for you guys to be nominated for the Chunin exams. Shizen tried to cheer up Narumi. The Chunin exams? Narumi asked as she tilted her head to one side. You know, to get promoted into Chunin. It's an exam where different villages send teams of their best genin to compete in a series of tests to see if they are fit to be Chunin. It all ends in a tournament, which is one of the big events of the year. The next Chunin exams are gonna be held in Konoha, but that's only a few months away, so it might be too soon. You'll probably have to go to the Chunin exams in Suna or Kumo. Shizen explained. Wow, that sounds pretty sweet. We can show the whole world how awesome my team is. I wonder if Haku will be able to come. Narumi commented. Who's Haku? Tsunade asked. You know, the masked kunoichi that was with Zabuza. She's my newest friend. She's pretty awesome. She can use ice to fight. It's pretty cool. Get it? Ice? Cool? Narumi was pretty enthusiastic about her new friend. Ice? Tsunade raised an eyebrow. This friend of yours is a Yuki? Yeah. How did you know? Her name is Yuki Haku. Narumi told Tsunade. She's one of the last of the Yuki clan, huh? Tsunade mused to herself out loud. You know she's from Kiri where they kill bloodline users like her, right? Yeah, she told me. Kiri is stupid. Why would they kill people who can do awesome things like Haku? Wouldn't they make their village stronger? I wish we had people who had cool powers like that. Narumi told Tsunade. There's 2 Kekii Genkai users on your team, silly. They have 2 of the most coveted ones too. Tsunade informed Narumi. Yeah, but theirs is more like they can see better. Sasuke hasn't even unlocked his Sharingan yet. Besides, it's not as cool as making a storm of ice Saban. Now that was awesome. I wish I had a cool Kekii Genkai. Narumi sighed. Naruto smirked. She didn't even know she had a powerful bloodline of her own. Or the fact that her brother had one. He would wait until he told her. He didn't want her to accidentally reveal her powers and have it taken advantage of. You know, with the civil war in Kirigakure, I doubt your friend will be able to come to any Chunin exams anytime soon. Shizen told Narumi. Yeah, you're probably right. She said she would help Zabuza fight the Mizukage, but who knows what will happen. I wish Konoha would help them. Narumi said disappointedly. Naruto smiled. She didn't know he had given them a huge donation to their war effort. They should have a much better chance now, with the extra money for supplies and the aid they could hire. Zabuza's presence should be a morale booster too. I wonder how that's gonna turn out. Wonder if I made the right decision in helping them. Hope it doesn't come around to haunt me later. Naruto thought to himself. Hyuga household, the Hyuga main branch and the family of the head of the cadet branch were having dinner, and Hinata reported how her mission had gone. Congratulations, Hinata-sama. You have brought honor to our clan with your A-rank mission, an excellent performance. Hizashi told his niece. Hinata smiled slightly and nodded. Thank you, Hizashi-sama. Niji scowled. He hated how his father had to kowtow to this weakling. Once again, the main branch was receiving preferential treatment, with weaklings like Hinata going on A-rank missions, when a prodigy like himself had to limit himself to C ranks. It seemed the whole village was also on the main branch's side. That is how a Hyuga should perform out in the field. Good job doing what was expected of a Hyuga, a clan elder told Hinata. Hinata disliked the elders. They always had a way of making all of Hinata's shortcomings her own fault, while they diminished all of her achievements by saying she was simply doing what she should be doing. She couldn't show her displeasure outwardly though. Thank you. I'm glad to be able to uphold our reputation. Hinata responded. I suppose I made the right decision letting you go on that mission. You've finally shown yourself to be more than the disappointment you showed to be at home. Hayashi said coldly. Ever since Hinata had gotten kidnapped, Hayashi had become a lot sterner to her. The elders kept pressuring him, saying she was too meek to be the clan head in the future, and he needed to either make her toughen up, or seal her with the caged bird seal, and send her into the cadet branch. He did what needed to be done to prevent his daughter from living the life of a slave, intensifying her training, and trying to get the meekness out of her. His wife tempered his tough love with her soft touch, but after his wife died while giving birth to Hanabi, he not only lost the light of his life, he lost the one who he relied on for advice. He was stuck with doing what he knew, the way his father had raised him. He became stricter and stricter every time Hinata failed to meet his expectations, until he eventually became used to treating Hinata harshly. Hisashi kept telling him he was being too strict, and he needed to be gentler with her, and the way their father raised them wasn't what was best for her, but it was easy to talk when your own child was a prodigy. Hayashi was secretly jealous of Hisashi, and every time Hisashi tried to tell him what to do, it irked him to no end. He still loved his daughter, but it had been a long time since he remembered how to express it. He felt his harsh treatment of her was his way of showing love, by trying to save her from being branded with the caged bird seal. I suppose any but the worst shinobi would be able to take on some thugs, but to be able to fight Chunin-level opponents as a genin, that would require a prodigy of some note, and I've never seen anything like that from her. Was this a fluke? Or is she stronger than she lets on? Is it her sensei? I wonder what else she might be hiding. Perhaps she isn't the failure I dreaded she might be. Hayashi thought to himself secretly. Maybe his tough love was finally paying off. Maybe there was still hope for her. Meanwhile, Hanabi was very impressed. She was always pitted against her sister, and they made it out like she was so much better than her sister, but she always knew her sister was stronger than her. She knew Hinata was holding back, out of love for her. She could never say it out loud though, as she feared being treated badly too. Still, she loved and admired her sister for her inner strength. Hearing Hinata had been instrumental in taking out 2 Chunin, and defeated a group of thugs that outnumbered her team by more than 30-1 gave her hope that others would come to see how strong she was. Come on, Nei-chan. Time to show all the doubters how strong you really are. I know you can do it. Hanabi cheered Hinata on secretly. After a council meeting, a few days later the council poured out of the doors of the meeting room after their regular council meetings. They had discussed the details of their renewed alliance with Takigakure, and their offers and demands that the son of the leader of Taki, Shibuki, had brought. Another big topic that had been discussed was the new alliance with Wave. Everyone was happy to have another ally and economic partner, especially one that was indebted to Konoha, but there had been a lot of complaints at the fact that Naruto had gotten off with breaking mission procedures, and unnecessarily putting his genin at risk. There was a lot of grumbling, as people thought the Hokage was favoring Naruto, and allowing him to do as he pleased. Danzo was quiet, but he noticed this. He never smiled outwardly, but he was smirking in his mind. He would use this golden opportunity to drive a wedge between his 2 greatest enemies. You are quite useful to the village, but you are too much of a risk. You know far too much. Danzo thought to himself as he watched the blonde clan head of the Uzumaki clan walk away. I'll turn your lapdog into a rabid dog that will bite your throat, Hiruzen. This village has squandered its resources and power for long enough, because of your foolish notions. It's time Konoha rises to its rightful place on top, like Tobirama-sensei intended.